Welcome to the City of Palaca Community Redevelopment Agency meeting. It's August 24th, 2026 at 5 p.m. I'm calling the meeting to order with the invocation by Pastor Mulberry and the Pledge of Allegiance led by Mr. Deputy. Please stand if you're able.
Father, again, thank you for this day. Thank you for your love, your kindness, and tender mercy. We look to you this day, God, because you're the author and finisher of our faith. It is you who have made us and not we ourselves. We thank you for this time of coming together and sharing. We pray, God, that you will crown our heads with wisdom and give us the understanding that is necessary, God, to move forward in the proper direction. We thank you once again for the constituents that are gathered here today. We pray your blessing upon us in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Join with me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Davis? Ms. Davis present. Commissioner Campbell?
Present.
Commissioner Jones?
Here.
Commissioner Borum?
Present.
Commissioner Alexander?
Present.
Deputy?
Present.
Mayor Guerra?
Present. Thank you. We have quorum. Approval of the July 2026 regular meeting. Has everybody had an opportunity to read those minutes?
Motion to approve minutes as printed.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? Thank you. I'm going to open the floor up to public comments. These are for public comments for items not specifically mentioned or listed on the agenda. You have 3 minutes, please, and we cannot necessarily provide a response at this time. Is there anybody here for public comments on general items not listed on the agenda? Seeing no one, I'll close public comment. On to regular business. Building Improvement Grant Program 2026 cycle follow-up. Ms. Oth.
This is not going to work, correct? Okay.
Great. Point of order regarding the minutes from the last meeting.
Yes.
It was moved by Mr. Jones and seconded by Commissioner Campbell that all future CRA votes will be conducted by roll call.
Okay. Go ahead, Ms. Oth.
The first staff report is just the Building Improvement Grant Program 2026 follow-up, following the Tax Increment Fund Advisory Committee's scoring. So this is just informational. Applications were scored by the committee on July 22nd, and under the current guidelines, an application must receive at least 35 out of 50 points to be considered for funding. Only applications from the Central Business TIF met the minimum scoring threshold. None of the residential applications from the North or South TIF districts achieved the required score. The current application cycle identified areas where the program guidelines and scoring criteria may benefit from clarification. This includes how multiple applications should be treated when several street addresses are associated within a single parcel, and whether the improvements represent separate projects or one unified redevelopment effort. The TIFAC feedback also indicated that commercial and residential projects may benefit from separate criteria because the current redevelopment impact category may place residential projects at a disadvantage. The Building Improvement Grant guidelines and scoring criteria may be refined between grant cycles based on program experience, provided the changes remain consistent with the CRA redevelopment plans and applicable requirements. Okay. Staff recommends that the CRA board receive the fiscal year 26-27 Building Improvement Grant Cycle Summary, that was the 25-26, Building and grant cycle summary feedback. Staff will update the program language before the next grant cycle to clarify how multiple applications associated with a single parcel should be evaluated, and staff further recommends that the board provide direction on whether separate program criteria for scoring standards should be developed for residential versus commercial properties.
Thank you. Does anybody have any further input on that? Go ahead, Mr. Deputy.
Just for,
Speak loud.
oh, I'm sorry.
No, it doesn't work.
That doesn't work, the mic doesn't work.
Just for my clarification.
Yes, sir.
Two things. Because I'm still new to this, I don't know anything about the advisory board, who serves on it, how they serve on it, and as a sub-board of this board, I'd like to have that information and how they're chosen, et cetera. And also, in reading this, I was looking for, if you get a grant and then sell within a certain amount of time, it was my understanding that you had to reimburse the CRA. That's not in this, is it in here?
It is.
Did
It's
I
in the
miss
project
that?
guidelines and also as part of their application process. They have to sign it and have it notarized that they're aware of that clawback provision.
And I know that recently, we've had a building in the central district that got a grant and has been sold. Has that been reimbursed to the CRA?
That was addressed previously with the previous city manager. I'll get back to you on exactly where that stands. So
Okay,
we were
'cause I-
aware of that, yes, sir.
Okay, I hadn't seen that income in the budget, and that's what I was looking for, to see where that went.
I can find that out for
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Anybody else? Also, does it specify, and I missed it, that if it is in the south TIF or north TIF, that you must have a certificate of appropriateness approved?
Yes, it's in the packet.
Okay,
As
thank
well
you.
as identify if your contractor notifies you whether you need permits or not, because before we can complete reimbursement, those permits have to be closed out.
Yeah, and I understand that. So oftentimes contractors miss out on that piece of obtaining a COA.
Yes, ma'am. In addition to that, when I'm doing the initial review, the staff review, before it goes before the committee, I send an email notification and I let the applicant know that they need a COA. And there's a couple of applicants here that they can attest to the fact that they did get notified.
Thank you. Do you want any action from us? Do you, or direction? Go ahead, Commissioner Campbell,
So I have a
sorry.
question,
Mr. Campbell.
More so, and I don't want to prolong the meeting tonight, but going back to the latter part of Mr. Deputy's statement, if we found ourselves in a position where a building has been sold, I would like to know, when you bring us back the information that you're going to bring, the process of getting that information or the funding in. So I just want to know the process, because again, had he not brought that up, that's probably something that would have flown under the radar.
How are we being made aware of sales of properties that have had or received monies in the last 3 years?
So I'm not sure how historically that has happened. I do know with this previous incident that someone made me aware of that, and so I went to the city manager and explained to her. So I'm not sure, I don't get like a notification, so I have to check into that for you.
Because in the past, at least with the home improvement program in the residential areas of the south and, well, all three TIF districts, I should say, there was a lien filed when the work was completed. So if there was a sale during the title search process, that would trigger notification or awareness of that. And maybe we need to start doing the same thing.
I agree.
If I might, Madam Mayor.
Go ahead.
Maybe what we can do when we do the financial reports on a monthly basis, we can just make a comment during that reporting period as to whether a transaction has occurred or not.
Okay.
Just
I
give
just
us-
didn't know if, how we would become aware of that transaction unless it's mentioned to somebody verbally. I mean, I usually know when they sell, but there's no other way of, without Nicole chasing me down, that she's aware property sold. How do we?
Maybe not monthly, but quarterly, but at least we can have it as a part of the
Yeah.
financial report.
Well,
Go ahead.
Yeah, through the mayor, to the commission, I think at a minimum, and maybe this is assumed, but I don't know, I'm just like Mr. Deputy, this is my first time here as well, but at a minimum, you should have clear provisions in your contract, right, to put the onus on whoever you're giving that money to. So I assume there's a really good contract in place that the city has that specifically says, you know, when you go to sell, you're gonna notify the city. And then you might say, oh, well, what if they don't tell us? Okay, that's fine, but when we do find out, it's not only we find out, but it's also a breach of contract. So that would be very important that we have those types of provisions, you know, wedded into our standard contract form.
Makes sense, thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Alexander. No, you Mr. Alexander, that's okay, I know who you are.
So do we have a way to encumber the title or brand the title or put it on the deed that they are required to notify us?
So,
At one point, I think at one point, the city used to have, used to file.
Just point of order, because we don't have microphones, if everybody using outside voice, I think so everyone.
We don't all have outside voices.
We're gonna have to find one today.
Would you like
Okay.
for me to repeat my question?
I'm looking at,
Yeah, no, the audience, in fairness to the audience.
thank you, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm
I'm
teasing
sorry.
you.
And I get chastised at the county meetings for speaking too softly with a microphone there, so please bear with me. My question was, do we have a way to encumber the title or the deed so that the burden doesn't fall upon the city to chase down the money?
That's what I just said.
But we should be automatically notified before that title transfer can be in place.
right, so through the mayor to the rest of the CRA board, I said commission before, I thought, my apologies. So the way that you would do that from a real estate perspective, because you just don't have a right to put a lien on somebody's property, right? There's got to be a legal connection to that. And the way that you would have it in this context is, you know, this grant would be more like a forgivable loan that's then a promissory note that you would have a mortgage tied to. And then we could go in and record a mortgage. I mean, many municipalities and counties do it that way, but it's forgivable. But it would still be a way to more, you know, specifically track it to that lien, you know, interest so that you can know. I mean,
Right,
so
yeah,
that-
I don't feel like it's the burden of the city to go chase that down and look over every property every month that may or may not have been sold.
Agree.
I think it
No,
should be an automatic notification to us or to our constituents.
Yeah, so again, it's one or two ways. You could have it in the contract, so it's a contract right that you're enforcing the contract, breach a contract if somebody doesn't follow that by telling us. But if you're looking for a lien right that the, you know, CRA board city would have, then you really have to tie that to a promissory note and a forgivable mortgage. So that's what it would be called. So when those years are up, it would be automatically removed from the property.
So is that something that you could bring back to the board to vote on, to put into, to implement?
Absolutely, I think,
Proposal?
absolutely.
Okay.
It could be an agenda item, and I don't know if it warrants more discussion, or if everybody is in favor of that, then I can work with the staff and bring
Yeah,
back a
I think we're all in favor of simplifying this as much as possible so the city isn't, or Nicole specifically, chasing folks down. Go ahead, Ms. Davis.
No, I was just gonna say, work with staff, because that's when you'll bring it back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then just to revisit on this recommendation, I know we had previously talked about that residential rehabilitation program, but that is more geared towards income-based. So for this particular grant, do we need to, is it the board's direction to have this split into a commercial and a residential building improvement grant? Because there are some, there's definitely been an impact as far as how these applicants are being viewed and the impact that they have on the community, and it really is affecting the scoring, in my opinion.
And then I wonder why we would need both, in that case, a division of the big for residential, commercial, and the res rehab. I think the res rehab makes more sense for residential, and the big, which is what it originally was designed for, was commercial.
And that's the
It just makes
direction.
more sense. Thank you. All set, everyone? Go. FY 2026-27 Building Improvement Grant Program Final Review and Grant Awards.
This information is before you for final review and grant awards for the 26-27 Building Improvement Grant Program. The Building Improvement Grant Program application period concluded, and the Tax Increment Fund Advisory Committee has completed the evaluation and scoring of all eligible applications using the adopted scoring rubric. In accordance with the program guidelines, applicants must receive a minimum of 35 out of 50 points possible to be eligible for funding consideration. The ranked applicant scores have been forwarded to the CRA board for final review and determination. Go ahead and go to the ranked scores. These are the ranked scores, and I've actually listed out CBD for Central Business District, South Historic, and North Historic. So I did indicate for you which district these applications fall under. The CRA board is responsible for conducting the final review of the applications and determining the projects to receive funding. While the TIF Act provides recommendations through its scoring process, final funding decisions rest solely with the CRA board. Following board direction, staff will prepare the appropriate grant award documentation and resolution to implement to the board's funding decisions. The Building Improvement Grant Program Guidelines scoring rubric, ranked applicant scores, and applications are included in your agenda packet. CRA board may exercise, as with any administrative program, circumstances may arise that are not specifically addressed within these adopted guidelines. This is something to keep in mind. In those instances, the board may exercise reasonable administrative judgment consistent with the intent of the program and adopted policies to ensure grant funds are administered fairly, equitably, and in support of the community redevelopment plan. And I think that's important to keep in mind. Conduct the final review for the 26-27 Building Improvement Grant Program applications, determine the projects to receive funding, and direct staff to prepare the resolution and grant agreements necessary to implement the final rewards. And that is the staff recommendation. Each one of these applications are available in your packet.
I have a question, Mayor.
Go ahead, Mr. Campbell.
Reference to the criteria. I was a tad bit trying to question, one of the things was the redevelopment impact, positive impact on property and surrounding areas. How do you determine the positive impact, I understand on the property, but of the surrounding areas? Like, how can you, I don't think that's to me, I don't think that's a fair criteria to go by, simply because what does surrounding areas have to do with the property that I have? And if they didn't take advantage of applying for the rehab grant, am I deemed, like, how, is that an automatic? I don't necessarily understand. And then the contribution to eliminating slum and blight, anything that's done to a property is contributing to the elimination of slum and blight. So those two things right there, I kind of question how were individuals scored based on what's there.
So I guess in a nutshell, just to be in the most simplistic terms, for residential, impact would be like bringing up the housing stock, right? So the more houses are appealing in a historic district, you're more apt to get more people that want to come and shop in that area and purchase a home. If there's a lot of blight, then that's probably going to deter some folks from wanting to come and purchase a home in that area. So it has to do with the housing stock. Commercial, like if we're looking at the Central Business District, the more aesthetically pleasing those shops are, those are the shops that you're going to want to go into and shop at. And that also works in conjunction with, let's say, the streetscape beautification. If you have a downtown that is revitalized and inviting to the public and they want to come and visit your downtown area and shop, that is what you want to encourage along that the St. John's Avenue for us in your Central Business District. That would be in the most simplistic terms as far as impact.
The same impact is true of the central business district. People are going to be more interested in investing in downtown or opening a business in downtown if buildings' appearance is improved, rather. I mean, we're fixing buildings, not people in this situation, and that always adds, and also potentially increases the property value, although it's been kind of iffy lately. But yeah,
I mean, but what I'm hearing is, I respect the comment, but again, anytime anyone is doing anything within their neighborhood, regardless of what is surrounding them, it may potentially give someone from the outside or the inside the opportunity to say, I want to do the same thing that they're doing, but how am I going to put that into a score based on the property of one individual? Like, I just don't understand how this can be scored into a metric that really, it's not making sense to me. And I understand wholeheartedly what you have stated, but it still doesn't make sense to me, because anytime anyone is willing to do anything that is contributing to the beautification of a neighborhood, whether surrounding areas are blighted or not, it's an encouragement for anyone to say, I may want to improve my property, or I might want to next round and submit my application. I don't think, it's still not making sense to me on the latter end. How can we score that metric?
And I understand what you're saying, and that's kind of left up to perspective. And one person's perspective would be a little bit different. And that's why in the preceding agenda item, I indicated that within this information. Because one of the things I did when I saw the scores and the rankings is I reached out to each one of those advisory board members and asked to meet with them individually to get information, feedback, because I was concerned that all of the residential properties scored so low. And that is exactly one of the items that came back as far as feedback, was when they were looking at the impact statement, they felt that that needed to be adjusted because they didn't see the, forget exactly how he said it, the impact on the residential versus the impact of the commercial buildings was very different in his vision, the way he interpreted that information. So that's why I was asking, I've submitted this first agenda item to review maybe how some of that language should be changed going forward.
go ahead, Ms. Davis.
So I understand your question. What I'm hearing is that this is more of a standard to use as a guide to scoring. For example, if this is the standard and the application shows that a person wants to maybe just paint trim with the money versus changing the whole facade, I would think, depending on the scope of work that they're planning to use the money for, would impact their score. Not
Yes.
necessarily an outcome, but an indirect outcome, but really a standard for scoring the packet is the way I hear it.
Yes.
More so it's a little bit more subjective,
It is.
as opposed to the scorer.
And it's a range.
And I think it will go back to the what we're trying to accomplish here. It is an outward appearance, a facade, more so than somebody who may make a beautiful bathroom, but that's not the intent of what this is. It's supposed to help the community. So that's what I'm hearing. Is that
Yes,
on
because
track? Okay.
the building improvement grant cannot be used for inside
Correct.
renovations. It's only what you see on the outside.
Correct.
Yes.
And I think that standard supports that to really drive home. We're looking for the change and the impact out here for the community's benefit as well. So,
And I think helping those people applying to present everything possible so that an informed decision or rating can be made, like that they share the colors and kind of a rendering of what that house and or building may look like when they've completed the work to show that level of improvement that does impact the community positively. Mr. Deputy. Loud, talk loud.
I agree with Mr. Campbell on some things here, but I thought, and I just reread to see that we're asking, or the board has been asking for 35 points minimum. But I thought the scoring was so that if we were, let's say we had 20 applicants and we didn't have enough funding for that the scoring placed the hierarchy of who received the funds. But I'm just estimating that we're gonna have funds left over. So I don't see where the scoring makes difference, because an improvement is an improvement is an improvement, and we need improvements.
Well, just to be clear, whichever applicants are awarded grants tonight, that will be in our 26-27 budget.
Okay.
And also, what is our budget to this point? What is the amount of money for the big grant in the central business TIF, since I don't have that in front of me?
I don't have it in front of me.
Okay,
So what
because
would
that's
be-
going to make the central business district TIF, that I think we're going to have to rate based on the best applicants, because there's a lot of money here if you look at them each getting the minimum. The residential and the two other districts, I think we need to talk about that somewhat separately, especially because they were so close to meeting that
And there's very
threshold.
minimal applicants for
You know,
those
I mean,
districts.
34.5 to 35, I mean, it's kind of
So do we
crazy.
have that information tonight to do that?
All of those applicants,
Because we haven't set the budget yet for next year.
all of the applications are included in your packet.
Right, but do we have the funding? Because we
Yes,
haven't done
I've
our budget
already,
for next year.
as far as when, during the budget workshop, I indicated those numbers within
Okay,
that.
okay,
Yes, sir.
then we're okay. Thank you.
So, could I ask a
Go
question?
ahead, Mr.
So,
Jones.
Ms. Aug, so did we cut off the applicants at a certain, we got a certain number? Did we cut them
No,
off?
this is just how many applicants we had.
And we do have a couple
was
of applicants
11.
that have several parcels.
Yes, sir. So there was 11 total applications that were submitted. And then one of the applicants, the board advised that we would condense them down to one application.
One application, but they have like 6 buildings, 5 buildings.
That is correct. That's with the one you see up there for 501 St. John's Avenue.
So, yeah.
Because.
Talk
so
loudly, please.
It was, they had, that one address, the 501 St. John's, is one parcel number. But they submitted an application for each of those individual addresses that are associated with the one parcel. But you're only taxed on your parcel, not your addresses. And there's some additional information in there as far as how you view those applications, whether you view them as individual applications, or if you view them as one continuous project. And that was left up to the direction of the advisory board.
The advisory board?
The
But we-
TIFAC board.
That-
When
That's
they
what
did
they're
the
there for,
original
then
scoring.
we give the final approval, so
Yes.
that is what they're there for. They give
They make-
recommendations
These are
only.
just their recommendations.
It's recommendations
Based on their
only.
scoring.
Right, we need to look at that.
Well, I
It's in the
definitely
packet.
would like to see it broken down to individual parcels. So, because there's also, I don't know if it's the same person, I don't want to disclose their name, but they have those, and then there's another one at the 200 block, I do believe.
That is correct.
Yeah.
That is the same individual.
So, I think it should, because that looked like a minimal number, but if you put it in a single file line, then it shows a little greater impact on where our money is going and how much money we actually are putting out there, and it should be broken down to each parcel. That's what I think this board should do, so that we can make a more informed decision. And I guess when we get this packet, compiling them all together,
So I just want to make sure I'm on the same page with you. So the 501 St. John's Avenue was one parcel,
right?
and it had multiple addresses associated with the one parcel. You also have the 211, which is the same individual, but that's a different parcel down on the 200 block.
Right.
Then there was a third, which is the 505 St. John's Avenue. That is also the same individual with a third parcel.
So they are divided out by parcel,
Sorry,
they
they're
are
divided
done
out by
correctly.
parcels.
You also should divide it by, but it's the individual and that
Yes.
individual. If John Doe name is attached, put John Doe name 8 times, 'cause I want to
You
see
want
John
the-
Doe.
I see what you're saying.
You
Yeah,
want
they-
the
I
applicant
follow you
name,
now,
you want the
yes, sir.
applicant
You
name?
absolutely
You
right.
wanted the applicant name.
Yeah, it would
Okay.
be- yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mr. Deputy.
Just for clarification, so I'm
Yes, sir.
understanding. We have a number of buildings downtown that are one building, but different businesses with different addresses. I can think of multiple blocks where that, and multiple owners where that is in existence. So, So if, let's just say that in 501, number 104 South Fifth wanted to have a different facade than the rest of that building, and they're the ones renting it, they work with the owner, wouldn't that be treated as an individual because the whole building is not getting it, but it's going to be the addresses?
So I think two things there. That's something we would look into as case-by-case basis. But additionally, you're also looking at a different person. It's not the same person. Whoever's submitting that address is that person for that address. On an individual, this is one individual for multiple
Right, but
parcels.
I'm talking about if it's okay, so let's say that 102 and 106 are renters, and they want a different facade than the other businesses in that building, and so they've convinced the owner to put forth a facade grant so that 102 and 106 look different than 104 and whatever. And so, wouldn't they be allowed to do that?
Not necessarily.
No.
The board would have to review that.
Okay, so that will be left up to us to review?
Yes, sir, that is
Okay, I'm just trying to clarify, because I can think of half a dozen buildings that
I
fit
understand,
that
yeah, I
criteria.
understand what you're saying, but that would be up to the review of the board.
And ultimately up to the property owner. I mean, I don't
Right,
know,
that's what I'm
as of
saying.
somebody who owns property, I don't think I want multiple
Well, the
facades
thing
going
is,
on,
is
but
they-
that's
they
another
couldn't-
story.
Only the property owner can apply for the grant.
Yeah, right, correct, that's what I'm saying, so I don't know, go ahead, Ms. Davis.
So I wanna bring some clarity to this discussion for my sake and make sure I'm understanding some of the comments. So we have facade grants, and owners can apply for these facade grants.
Big grant.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
And we have some, buildings that are owned by the same person, but they're different addresses.
Correct.
But our goal here is for building facade updates for our downtown or central business district buildings to be better, right? That's our ultimate goal here. Per building, not necessarily per person, because we don't have any limitations in our application that only one person per building can apply.
Right.
I know I'm stating the obvious and clarifying, but what I really just wanna make sure that we're back to our ultimate goal and what we're trying to accomplish here. And that is for our central business district to look better, be better, and attract more business.
That's exactly why we're fixing buildings and not people, and we don't have any verbiage in the grant to, as you said, stop somebody with multiple properties from
Right.
applying for each of
And
those.
so just, oh, I'm sorry.
Can I finish? So
Go ahead.
I'm not saying that we should, I'm just stating so that we are on the same page. The other thing I want to make sure that we do as a board is absolutely ask the questions we're asking, because we need to understand before we make a decision and make sure we clearly understand what the recommendation is. And this is a side point, but one thing that would help us in the future when we have this kind of work is to give us a presentation with pertinent information, not staff reports on this one. Because a lot of what we're asking, if it was clearly presented to us with these things we're asking, because what we're really doing is digging into these words and none of us can read. And so that's just a recommendation, seriously. I just want to make that recommendation. If we can get a presentation, a high-level presentation with information that we need to make decisions, I think that some of this could have been presented. That's just a recommendation for the future, thank you, and I think it would help us with our comments and understanding.
And I'm optimistic that we can all read, but it would also be helpful for the audience to kind of see what's going on visually in a presentation packet and have it. I know it's more work for you, but that would be helpful, I think.
And just
Mr.
one
Campbell?
thing to your point, so we didn't limit it for addresses, I mean, as far as parcels, so there's multiple, we just for multiple addresses within a parcel.
Go ahead, Mr. Campbell.
I just, in the clarity that was brought
Yeah.
from Commissioner Davis, it proves my point.
Yes.
Because we have three that I'm looking at that falls up under the recommendation or the minimum of 35, right? But at the same time, we are in the position or trying to eliminate the blight and all of those things. So that's why I question the two criteria point, because if those individuals that are at the bottom are ranking, but they don't rank with the minimum, they're trying to do the same thing that every other building is trying to do, and that's what we are here to do, to ensure that those things are done. So that's why I was a little bit concerned, and that's why I brought up the point of those two, because at some point, we can't always take subjective. We have to be able to view objective. And I say that simply because it may be one way to me, but again, I'm doing what you all are asking me to do, and that's make improvements.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Baum.
And I concur with Commissioner Campbell.
Loud.
Let's just,
No, it's just in the people here.
I do concur with Commissioner Campbell as it relates to that, because I'm almost sure that we had put something in place to address that particular issue, because again, when there are people who were tracking close to the number, and then you have multiple people one individual who may apply for multiple grants and get those, and you don't give the other people an opportunity. I thought we had something in our language that addresses that, because you got people who are trying to improve the properties, and so we put policy in place, I think, for sure, on something that meets that criteria.
Maybe it was discussed. I did use the previous couple years, their guidelines, and then just tightened up some of the language. So whatever was already in place in the previous year's guidelines, I used that as a guide before I posted the guidelines for this year, this past cycle.
These are recommendations also, and so I think in terms of the three residentials in the north and south TIF districts, that we could have a discussion about each of those, and if we feel that they are so close and deserved of receiving funding to do those homes, then we can make that decision. These are recommendations only.
If I might just, did you say that everyone who applied is this?
That is correct.
Correct.
It was 11
That's why I'm
applicants.
saying that, particularly for the other two TIF districts, south and north, more so than the central, which I think is the one we need to scrutinize the most.
Correct.
Go ahead, Mr. Deputy.
The other clarification for the future is, in going through the first one, 309 to 311, I ascertained that when I read that all the work was being done on 309.
Correct. And this
And
applicant,
is that true? But they listed to 311.
so it's one parcel, that's his parcel. And his parcel contains
one.
those three addresses.
Okay.
But he submitted his application as a single parcel.
For 309?
Correct.
Okay. See, that kind of clarification in here would help, because for those of us that know the buildings, it then gets confusing. Are we working on this one, or this one?
Understood.
And
That's fair.
that's all I'm asking is clarification, because I'm all for it.
So, as we hasten
Go ahead,
to
Mr. Kimball.
try to move this conversation
Yes.
along, if we're looking for a recommendation, I would ask that this board take in consideration the individuals that have come close to the minimum, and let's have a discussion to see what we can do to provide them with the same opportunity as the others.
I can agree with that, but again, for those in the central business TIF, I'm assuming, 1, 2, 3, that there are at least 4 of those property owners that want the full grant amount of $25,000. That's $100,000 right there, and then there's an additional property that's requesting $6,799 after their match. So the point being that we're, going to be totaling $106,799.82, and is that in our budget?
Yes.
Okay, then I'm fine with it
Accounted for
otherwise.
in
Then
the
that's what I just want to double check.
No, that's the stuff I'm looking for, Mrs. Long.
That's the stuff I want to double check after you calculate their percentage out. How much are we actually, the request actually amount to for the CRA budget? So that's fine. With that said, I agree with Mr. Campbell. We can move on to the others. Go ahead,
Mayor,
Ms. Hodge.
CRA board, if you decide recommend that you waive your program guidelines, because these are your program guidelines. These are guidelines that you
Yeah,
advertise to the public, everybody's playing by the same rules, and these are your guidelines. So, you know, if you want to, I'm not saying that you can't
Do
change
that,
your
yeah.
guidelines, but if you do that, I would recommend that you waive them, because what's the point of having guidelines if we're not gonna follow
I agree with that. I
them?
can agree with that.
So just something for you to consider. The way that I read this entire program, and Nicole, you know, could correct me if I'm wrong.
Let her talk, please, without any sidebar conversations. No, but you can't. Just let Ms. Hodges talk. Ms. Hodges, go ahead.
But the way that I read this program is that in order for grants to be considered by you, they have to meet that 35. So in other words, if you don't meet the 35, you're not even on the table for consideration.
Okay.
That is the way that
Yeah,
your
yeah, I
program-
agree. That's true. That's fine in the guidelines, even though the recommendations. I agree. Although, yeah, and my question would also be, is there any way to work with these 3 applicants to improve their application for the next time around? Because now we're going to be waiting, how long, Nicole? Go ahead.
You know,
I'm sorry, Ms. Davis. Go ahead, Mr. Alexander.
everybody doesn't get a trophy.
That's right.
But with that being said, our goal is to improve the city. So if we've got some people that are on the fringe, maybe we could not manipulate, but modify our guidelines so that they could be in a pattern to give them a 45-day opportunity
Well-
to improve that.
I think that's what Mrs.
When you
Hodges'
you
suggestion.
always look for a way to have bonus points. So is there a way that we can take in consideration something that would allow these individuals to
1
get
minute,
bonus
Ms.
points
Davis.
to-
Or perhaps if they get within 10 points, we have a
Okay.
program to move them into that qualification, so they don't have to wait another year.
1 minute. Ms. Davis, go ahead.
So, I hear you, but I'm not supportive of that. To our attorney's point, we advertise and we have program requirements. I think one of the things that sets precedence of things being out of order and squishy is when we start making exceptions.
No, I agree.
Because where do the exceptions start? And what I think we can take away from this is perhaps we need support for these applicants prior to review
That's
to
what I'm
help them strengthen. But I do not see on the back end, I would love to, I just think it opens up an area that we don't want to go down because it discredits our criteria and our standards. So that's what I'm going to say.
1 minute. Miss, I agree wholeheartedly, and I think that's why I'm asking for some support for those 3 applicants.
And
Good.
I guess my question would be, if they had 15, would we be having this conversation?
No,
So 99 and a half does not pass if the minimum is 100. And I just want us to keep that in mind for other decisions that we have to make.
I agree.
we all agree. Mr. Deputy
I'm
first.
still going back to, I like the scoring, and I believe that we should use the scoring when we have more applicants than we're gonna have budget for. But until that time, I don't think we have one applicant for one whole neighborhood. We have more than sufficient budget for that one applicant. We have more than sufficient budget for the 2 applicants from the south side. And I don't think we need to look at the scoring unless we have to say, we don't have the budget for that, so we have to
I know,
have
I know.
the priorities.
Mrs. Hodges?
Can I just really clear?
Ms. Hodges, yes.
So just to be very, very clear, so legally, you can follow your program guidelines. That's already laid out very clear. If you don't get 35, then you're not on the table for consideration. You can also waive your program guidelines, and you can move forward, and you can give all of these folks money, because at the end of the day, it is your money. I'm just telling you that in order to award that money to people that didn't make the 35, you need to properly waive your guidelines. And then the other thing that I'll just say, it really sounds like you are having a policy discussion about this whole program.
Yes.
So I probably would recommend that you come back as a CRA board, and it's okay to say, hey, you know what, we thought we needed points, you know, now we're looking at this, and we just need to make sure our buildings look good, so let's get rid of the points altogether. To the other, you know, board member's point, if there's enough money to cover anybody that wants to do improvements. You can change your guidelines. I'm just saying, of course, as, you know, obviously the lawyer, I'm gonna tell you to follow your guidelines, but you can waive them.
Go ahead, Mr.
No,
Alexander.
I'm 100% in support of supporting the guidelines. They're set in place for a reason. You can ask my ball players, my kids, the rules are the rules. That's the way it is. But perhaps it is a policy discussion that down the road we could modify the policy so that there was an opportunity for coaching those entities that were very close. I'm not saying we waive anything. No, the rules are the rules. If you didn't make it, you didn't make it. But down the road, maybe we should look at opening up an opportunity for someone that is close to prevent them from having to reapply, you know, 365 days later, to speed the process of beautifying our downtown and allowing those individuals to use those funds. But it has to be rigid and it has to be black and white. I'm very, very structured about that.
Did you have something,
I have a
Mr. Jones?
question. I agree with the attorney. However, is there an appeal process if one of the applicants, like someone got 34.5?
Not,
So-
there hasn't
not for this
historically been
grant.
for this program.
It hasn't been, going to be created. And so, right, it's a policy change. So here's the deal.
Yeah, we would have to deal
You
with
got
that.
somebody that close. They follow all the rules, they got paperwork in. You're making a decision. They're sitting here trying to, again, make improvements. And half a point is stopping them. Still going by the legal guidelines, not getting a waiver, but a reconsideration. You guys are doing the scoring, so maybe your scoring system, you go back in and say, well, it's almost what Campbell said, but it actually is an appeal process that we should kind of put in place, that parcel owner will come back in and say, well, what exactly was it? Where I fell short? And it just may be there. I don't want to circumvent the policy at all. We're gonna follow guidelines legally, and I just ask the question, if it is, or if it isn't, can we create one? Because it's gonna come back, we're gonna be doing this next year, the same thing, so here's a trial run, and we wanna put these things that we're talking about now into motion and put them in place. That's some of the problems we have, there's not a policy to back up what we're doing, what we're creating.
Yes, sir. And I also feel like this goes back to what we previously discussed on the preceding agenda item. It might behoove me to split these into a residential and a commercial, because ultimately, that's what this discussion is coming down to.
Yeah.
The residential for the South Historic and North Historic applicants as opposed to the central business.
And that was the past, and that was done in the past, rather, and I think the intent here was when we didn't have a CRA director to make one grant that fits all, and it never truly
And it
did.
doesn't.
So that was the intent. It was a good intention, but it doesn't work. Is there any way, I know the grant window closed for applications, is there any way to improve these scores for these folks, or help them improve their scores, rather? When is the next grant application? They're going to have to...
Be most likely around May of '27.
Okay.
It typically runs the middle of May through the middle of June.
Ms. Davis
I'm
was
sorry.
before you. Go ahead.
So I want to go ahead and make this statement now because my intent is to make a motion. But I want to make sure it can be effective before. So what I'm going to recommend is that we table this policy discussion until a future meeting when we can work on the policy decision. But I move that for those applicants who met the criteria be awarded the grant.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Any further discussion?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Mr. Alexander.
This is my first vote on approval of these. Are they typically done on an individual basis or on a lump sum basis
You mean the funding provided?
for each individual?
They're
applicant?
reimbursed, and it's on,
No, but I mean, is each decision individual or are they as a lump? So
we've
Yes,
done
and
them
we
both
know-
ways.
If I understand what you're saying, are we approving all of those applicants there, or are we approving them one by one?
correct. Yes.
I think that Ms. Davis was trying to include them all except the last three.
My motion was to approve all applicants who met the criteria. That was my motion.
And that meant that score, minimum
That
score.
was the score, yes.
I have a question. I mean,
Go ahead,
for
Mr. Campbell.
discussion. I do want it to bring it to the attention of this board that it appears as if we have done, if this passes, everything for the central business district, and we have done nothing for those
That's exactly
in our
what it is.
other areas. So I do want to make sure that that is taken in consideration, because it appears that the business owners or those that own businesses within that district scored higher than the residents. So the very appearance of some of these things, if we have the opportunity to fix that tonight, this was our opportunity. If not, we have failed those who took the time to apply. And then again, it appears that the central business district is getting more attention than those in the other neighborhoods.
Ms.
And
Davis?
that's a good point, and I want to clarify. So my intent is, even though there are not awards this today.
But what are we gonna do different?
Can I?
Please let her finish.
My intent in my recommendation is for us to come back and sit down with a plan to do it. And that plan may do some different dates, I don't know. But I just believe that we should make a decision on those who've met it. And I believe the board has an opportunity to redefine that with the information we have. What I'm suggesting is we not hold up the entire process to deal with the pieces we have not addressed. That's just my recommendation, but I'd like to see us come back with a policy that addresses it, and that may move some dates up with an opportunity for these applicants to reapply sooner rather than later. I don't know. I believe we have the authority to make those decisions in the future, and I mean the near future. That was my intent, to not ignore those.
Mr. Deputy,
And
it's
I-
discussion about this motion.
Yes, I want to go back with Mr. Campbell, and that I do believe what he's saying is so true. I also want to say that there is a huge difference between a commercial building and a residential home.
That's why we're separating
There's
them.
also a huge difference in someone that has experience with a commercial building versus a residential home. We have people in all three of these districts that probably have never done any residential rehab, whereas most of our commercial buildings have. So I think we need to split these. We're looking at apples and oranges, and we need to be helping people who need the help.
And I think that's what was said, but we have a motion on the floor in a second.
I'll make
Any
just
further?
one last statement.
Go ahead.
I believe that if we, to show that we are being proactive, if you would take in consideration the amendment to your motion to make it known that we will come back to have this discussion and not just make it,
Okay.
I
I'm
feel
friendly.
that will give me
I'm
a
friendly
little
to an
bit more
amendment.
peace.
I'm friendly to an amendment, so if you wanna do it.
No, it's your motion.
There is a motion and a second already.
So
On the
I'd
floor.
like to amend my motion to include, in addition to the motion, that, and I guess my question would be, is this a workshop that we need to do this, or?
No, because we have to be able to vote on it.
Understand.
Well, through the mayor to board member Davis, really, you could do that as a separate motion.
That's what I was thinking would make more sense.
That motion and do a whole
My
other
intent
motion.
was,
That policy.
my intent was to move these forward,
And I agree.
then let's make a consideration of how we wanna move forward. That was my intent.
And I think that makes more sense than combining this, kind of the same but separate issues in a way, so, okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Mayor,
Oh, go ahead, Ms. Hodges.
But, and I want to make sure I understand this. So when we had those public comments in the very beginning, they were for items that are not on.
Right, oh, I can open up to public comment, yes, thank you. Is there anybody here for public comment on this?
Whoa.
1 minute, okay, everybody will have to fill out a yellow card. You can do that after you speak. Ms. Kitchen's up first, and she already has her card ready.
Thank you.
Thank you, City Attorney. Yeah, I was going to point out that all this is going on, there's been no room for public to have comments. The other thing is, I'm all for y'all having a workshop to look at that policy. The CRA's been here, the TIF district, since 1983. There's never been a problem. We've never had a CRA director until recently. No problem whatsoever. We had the TIF downtown, we had the two historic districts. They've never combined. There's three separate funds. I'm sitting here alarmed that they're all combined now. You gotta make sure that the funds are separate. You can't use North Historic District funds for South Historic District, et cetera. So when I see all this together, and I'm not saying the funds are together, but you need to look at residential and commercial, is what I'm saying. It should be separated. That's obvious. I mean, that's like separating pecans and Chevrolets. They're not the same thing. They gotta be separated. But I do think that you need to have a workshop, look at your policy. If somebody wants to apply for a grant, there are rules in place, and it's been advertised a certain way, like the attorney said. You can't change it, it's been advertised, unless you throw it out and start over again. But if somebody's going to apply in the future, like John Doe wants to apply for a house grant, he talks to the CRA director, he doesn't have enough points. Maybe the CRA director can help him to figure out what to do to increase his points. To Mr. Campbell's point, it doesn't matter if my property causes all your property values to go up, because if it does, you're all gonna come shoot me because your taxes went up. What matters is I'm improving my blight, and if my blight's improved, then that's going to get other people inspired to come in and buy the property and improve the blight. People buy in historic districts, they expect to get old houses that are blighted and improve them. So I think that I think that particular thing with points needs to be thrown out, and that might help your points a lot. But thank you for, and thank you, City Attorney. We do need to make sure that the public is allowed to speak. That's our right. Thank you.
Mr. Parolin.
Richard Parolin, 105 Morris Street.
To really talk up, Mr. Parolin, because we got...
Richard Parolin, 105 Morris Street. Thank you, Board of Commissioners, for your time. In the interest of, if it's okay, I'm going to read from my prepared comments. In the interest of time, I'm going to do that. I can get through it coherently. So I approached the board today with a request for reconsideration of my application for the TIF funds, and also to answer any questions you may have. So as not to take unfair or excessive advantage of the TIF program, I invested north of about $25,000 in recent structural and siding repairs to my 87-year-old home with the hope of obtaining tax increment funding for the finishing and painting of the building's exterior. So I wanted to bring to your attention that I have made personal investments, and I'm just not relying simply on what I can get out of the fund. My exterior rehabilitation remains incomplete until the structure is properly prepared, primed, and repainted. Patchwork repairs, faded finishes, inconsistent surfaces, and missing shutters currently detract from the property's curb appeal and the character of the surrounding historic neighborhood. At a cost estimate of about $58,000 for the exterior prep and painting of the structures, this is no insignificant amount. Perhaps you can see why I'm requesting reconsideration of my request for TIF relief funds by this board tonight. The project will complete the final phase of exterior rehabilitation through surface preparation, painting, restoration of the shutters in order to restore a uniform, well-maintained exterior appearance. This is in conformity with the goals of the CRA. To protect the structure from further weather-related deterioration, there's a fair amount of paint that is peeled off and the underlying wood is exposed. So there's a sense of urgency. Preserve the character of historic residential property. That's my intention as well, to improve compliance with the community appearance standards. The completion of this project will eliminate visible signs of exterior deterioration, improve neighborhood aesthetics and curb appeal, support surrounding property values, encourage additional property investment and maintenance, strengthen community pride and confidence in the redevelopment area, and I believe advance the goals of the Palatka Community Redevelopment Agency. At the advisory committee meeting which I attended, one of the members mentioned how, in his view, investing TIF funds into historic district homes is akin to solving the problem of a leaky dam by sticking your finger into a hole. At some level, I can understand why one would think like that, because it seems like you get more bang for your buck with commercial redevelopment. But that philosophy of reinvestment tends to disenfranchise homeowners who sustain the immediate surrounding communities. It's short-sighted, in my opinion. And as you can see by the ranked scoring sheet for that session, that previous session, all commercial projects achieved threshold scores, while the 3 neighborhood homeowner applications failed to meet that threshold. I wonder if perhaps close attention was not paid to the photographs I provided and others had provided, which show an immediate need for restoration of the exterior finish of the home.
Please finish up, Dr. Parolan. You get 3 minutes. Please finish up
Okay.
quickly.
Oh, thank you. I'm sorry about that. Homes on River Street serve as a gateway of sorts to potential buyers considering moving to our city. They invite interested buyers to take a closer look at the interior of the neighborhood. Commercial amenities are important, but so are residential neighborhoods that attract and keep homeowners, who in turn support local businesses. High visibility homes such as mine
Okay.
have curb appeal and are not.
Dr. Parolan, I'm going to have to cut you short
Okay.
for the sake of
Thank
time.
you.
Sorry. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Ms. Gabrielle?
Hello, Gabrielle Gunn. I was the grant writer for multiple applications submitted today for the grant program. I did want to speak on item number A first, I didn't get that opportunity before it went on to item number B. I wanted to follow up on the 2026 cycle. I submitted the application for that cycle last year and with the previous CRA coordinator. That CRA coordinator, I know there's been some changes in staff. That specific individual stated that each project had to be under a specific parcel ID. So that's why we only submitted 1 application for last year's cycle. This year, with new staff, we were instructed that that was not the case, that was not in the guidelines. If we had been told correctly by staff, which we talked to in person, by phone, and by email with clear direction on the application process, which was considered a project versus an address versus a parcel ID, then the applications that you would have received today would have been a lot different. We submitted the 6 applications because they were project-based. I have the projects. I don't know if I'm going to have the opportunity in item number B for each project. Will I have an opportunity to speak on each of those, or are you going to vote after this public comment? Because last year I did get that opportunity.
That's, at this point, I didn't think we were doing it that way. That's up to the board. The motion was made to approve all your including all the applications you made. So I don't know if it's even necessary now. I know but I'll ask Ms. Hodges what she thinks.
So we haven't voted through the mayor to.
No, we haven't voted yet.
We haven't voted yet, but the motion is to approve all of those applications, so anybody can get up here and talk about anything that's a part of that motion.
Right, but can you do that in, you've only got less than a minute now on this 3-minute time frame.
Okay, so this is, can you pass them?
And we did receive all of those.
Right, but you guys did not score them. They were
Right.
not scored by the TIF because the TIF also did not have clear direction from staff on what was considered a project, a parcel, or an address. If it had been told to us that it was per parcel, then each of those projects that you see up there would have been by parcel ID. As you all have stated, we are trying to eliminate blight. And then when you look at your packet, you will see the 500 block. When you go to the second page, you will see what it would look like with what we've proposed with all of the projects that we have submitted that were lumped in because interpretation from the advisory committee from TIF. They did say that it was up to your discretion on what was approved and what was not approved. So they were not in lieu of scoring our applications, which I didn't seem was appropriate, for not even scoring or reviewing our applications. I had to ask, can you at least look at them during this meeting? When you look at the proposed west and south elevation, that is what it looks like. What you are proposing based off of 501, this last picture is what you're stating we can apply those funds for. So if those applications are not submitted or approved, if they're not approved, we'd like to know how we can do better for the future, because we have multiple projects that we will be submitting for the future. We want to eliminate blight. We want our business sector to come here, but we can't attract those businesses due to the way it looks.
Thank you. And we do have the before and afters in our packet. I think that we knew the money that was being approved was to accomplish that. So,
Is
you
there
know,
a way?
is there any,
Can I
go ahead, Ms.
With
Davis.
respect, we limited Dr.
Yeah, agreed.
I want to stay respectful.
Agreed. So I agree with, Mr. Campbell. We gotta make sure we're fair to everyone coming to the mic to speak.
Yeah, I agree.
Mr. Campbell's point. My question is for Ms. Alls, if this is appropriate at this time, because I feel like we're a little bit off the rails here. Were there clear direction from the advisory board for this review and understanding this process? Because if not, I need to do something different.
Yes.
When Miss,
Conversation
okay.
prior to.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, Ms. Hodges.
Yeah, just to remind you, you're supposed to be taking public comments.
That's why.
I know, and that's why we said that, and that's why I said there was no point in going over everything again. That was my point.
That's why I asked the question. So I'll
Okay,
wait
go-
for everybody to be done.
Go ahead, Ms. Roth.
I think you said.
Okay, we have a vote on the table, I mean, a motion and a second on the table, rather. No, we have more public comments coming in, too, but you had brought Ms. Roth up, and so, Ms. Roth, sorry, please sit down. Who else is here for public comment? Come up, Mr.
Townsend.
I know who he is, Mr. Townsend.
Good evening.
Good evening, and you have 3 minutes, just for the sake of sanity.
I'll spend a minute telling you how I'm so glad I don't sit where you do. But I do want to say, when I look at the scoring, one of the things I saw, and I was telling my wife, I was quite good with it, it's about emergent need. But that scoring in itself is a little bit self-defeating, because those of us who over years have kept our property from deteriorating to the point to where they're in emergent need, you're going to score low. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't things that have to be done. In the fact, I would like you to personally waive this, because there is a budget for this. There aren't applicants, and one of the reasons there are not applicants, in my view, is that it is so cumbersome to go through, and you need the money. All you have to do is ride down 3rd Street, and I can show you 3 old houses that are falling apart, tearing down, nobody's doing a thing about them. And there's not a day that goes by that at least 2 or 3 cars don't stop to take pictures of our home. And the reason I say that does improve, but this whole process is subjective. And you are the board, and you have committees that do things all the time. When it comes to the board, you're the final word.
Right.
And you do
I
have the
agree, that's
ability
what
to
I'm
do this. You do have the ability to meet what you've all stated that you want to do, is use the money that's allocated for this purpose. And that's the way I believe that you'll be more successful in getting more applicants and showing people like me will be out there saying, you've got to go do this. This money is there, it's for this purpose. But otherwise, we're going to go out there and say, what's the point? So anyway, I appreciate it very much. Thank you, and I hope you reconsider.
Thank you. Is there anybody else here for public comment? No applause, please. Thank you. Is there anybody else here? Come up, Ms. Waltz.
Hi, good evening. My name is Ann Waltz, and I live at 628 Emmett Street, and I'm the 34.25 person on the list. And for me, I just wanted to share with you that I have a very disconcerting feeling with knowing that there were 8 applicants, 3 residential, 5 commercial, and 100% of the funding was going to those commercial properties. And my understanding is that it's 3 separate pots of money. And if it's South Historic District, North Historic District, and the Commercial District, then there's 3 separate pots. I'm confused by what we didn't do, where we fell short. And my understanding is that you have the packets that everyone submitted. I'm the guy who, I'm a net normal person. I'm in my 70s. I did the packet by myself, using no AI, no nothing. So it's no savvy dog and pony show that I'm presenting to you. I'm showing you my house, my home. But if you look at the picture of my home, which fronts on both Morris and Emmett Street, and look at the side that is on Morris Street, and look at that and say, yeah, that looks good. I think we all have differing perceptions of what looks good, but I don't think anyone would look at that section of my home and say it looks good. And I'm trying to get my home to look as good as it can. I'm trying to improve my gutters so that when I walk out my door, I don't have rain falling on me, which is what I have now. And I just hope that you would reconsider that commercial and residential should be separate. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anybody else here for public comment? Seeing, yeah, I'm going to close public comment. Thank you. Go ahead.
Madam Mayor, in consideration of the comments, I'm going to amend my motion.
Okay.
I want to withdraw my motion.
Withdraw.
I'm going to withdraw my motion right now, because I really want to.
Ms. Hodges?
Right, through the mayor, just.
Oh, I'm sorry. We
Yeah,
have to vote
it's already been
because it's already
seconded,
on the floor.
it's on the table.
Yeah.
So you can vote it down, and then.
Okay.
Yes,
that
so we
dispenses
can't,
the
we
vote.
can't.
Let's do that.
So we have a motion, a second. Go ahead. Did you have something, Mr. Campbell?
Ready to vote.
Go ahead. Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Davis?
No.
Commissioner Campbell?
No.
Commissioner Jones?
No.
Commissioner Bohr?
No.
Commissioner Pelletier?
He's still not here.
He's not here.
Sorry, Commissioner Alexander?
No.
I apologize. Mr. Deputy?
No.
Mayor Carrera?
No.
Motion
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion that we waive the scoring and, if funding is available, provide the funding to all applicants who applied.
I'll second that.
Motion is second. Any public comment on this? Seeing none, close. I'm sorry. Come up, Ms. Gunn.
I would like clarification. You said all applicants. Is it all applications as stated right
Yes.
here?
As stated, who's applied for.
All of these, so all of the ones you submitted as well as the 3 residential.
Okay, so all of those,
All of those, the
will be
ones in the,
broken out.
they'll all be, no, 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 no. No, no, no. No, no, no. No. So, well,
It need to be, well, it need to be, I guess, would it be, need to be the way that they defined? Oh, no, because it's not in the scope. Okay, so we're just gonna just do it as it's presented.
Ms. Roth, would you like to come up and clarify for everyone, please?
So I
Should
think
be
what your question is when you're saying approve for all as the addresses or as 501 with each individual address? She's wanting, because for that one address for them is actually multiple applications that condense down to the one address. That's what her question is.
I get that, and that's why, but I think, my understanding was you were just approving every application that's up there, 501 with multiple addresses as well.
Everything that's as presented, that's what was presented.
You're saying 8 applicants as opposed to the 11.
No, I mean, I guess if it was 11, if it was 11 intended, that's, I mean, that's 11, right?
So just for clarification, the 501 St. John's Avenue was the single parcel with 4 separate addresses.
Okay,
The TIFAC board voted to consolidate that to one application.
okay.
So that's why Ms. Gabrielle was asking that question. Are you approving all of the addresses within that one parcel or just the 501?
So we're in the comment section right now, so we can kind of discuss that maybe a little
Yes,
bit.
we can. Go ahead, Ms. Davis.
Yeah.
So my question is, if they were considered as 11 separate applications, are we still within the budget?
Right.
They submitted them as separate applications, but they were scored as a single.
No.
Yeah, we understand that.
Here's my question.
Right.
On those separate applications, did each application request a different dollar amount per
Yes,
application?
They did.
If we considered as individuals, would we still be within the allocated budget amount for 2026, 2027?
We would have to go back in and adjust the proposed budget to accommodate for that.
Correct. I just want to be clear that we're making decisions and we understand that there
Okay.
If they're considered separately, then that's a different number
Right.
than we see here
Correct.
based on the applications we received.
Right.
Correct.
So I just wanted to
What-
make that clear.
Man.
Go ahead, Mr. Jones.
So, Commission, that is the reason why I pointed it out, that there were different locations, and it should be broken out for each location, just like the young lady came up and said, she submitted it that way. So why would you guys or the committee
That's my question.
package it all up like that? It should go back to separate parcels, so that we can actually see what we are actually allocating, okay? So,
So those are broke out as such, each one.
no, I want you to individually put 501 St. John's, 102 St. John's, or whatever those are.
South Fifth, yeah.
Separately, because there are 11 different parcels versus 8, or however many it is.
It's 8 parcels, but 11 addresses.
11 addresses.
Yes.
That's how you
Address
should
is
break
different
them
than
out.
parcels.
Because just like you just, because we'll be voting on something and then, like you just told us, well, you don't know if it's enough money. We shouldn't be voting on anything unless it's broken out in clear language so we can understand. Because it's gonna come back where we vote to approve something and then now it'll be a question about the funding. So if you could, break it out so that everybody would know, because we don't want to go, yeah, we think everybody should get it, and then it's not enough. It's not, because I don't know what those 6 parcels gonna be individually, and I think that's why the young lady came up here and said she did it one way, but the board recommended that you package it up a totally different way. Don't do that to us.
Yeah, and that's my.
So in 1 minute though, Mr. Deputy requested the floor first before you, Mr. Campbell.
I'm so glad that she clarified that, because I was assuming that each one of those was being approved individually. But have we given the advisory board the authority that they can combine things?
They made a recommendation.
That was a recommendation?
Yes, sir.
Okay, because when I read my packet, I didn't get that. But what would be the financial difference?
So let's just clarify. They made a recommendation to score them that way. So when they scored them, instead of scoring those multiple addresses individually, they scored that as one project at the 501 St. John's Avenue. That was scored as one project.
Okay.
So 35 points out of 50 went to that as a single project, not individual addresses.
But if we approve this, they're going to get the funding they asked for.
For each.
For
For each-
each address.
For each address, they'll
Correct.
get the funding they've
Good.
asked
If you
for.
approve it as 11 different applications as opposed to the 8,
Okay.
then yes, they would get the funding for each individual address.
See, I was assuming that was 11 and
Okay, but Mr. Campbell is next. Go ahead. Mr. Alexander.
Yes, ma'am, I have one question regarding the bylaws and the way that the CRA is structured. Is the CRA structured to allocate funds individually by address or by parcel?
That's not the CRA would have that.
Okay, you're through the mayor to, board member Alexander, it's not clear, it's not in there, this point is not in your program guidelines. Hence the reason why your advisory board was able to make that call. It's not clear, so again, it really sounds like we need to go in and refine this document. These are all great points that are being referenced, but yeah,
Right,
it's
I
not
just didn't
clear.
want us to make a stance that we could have multiple different addresses, even though it's the same parcel. So you break up 5 different addresses in one block on one building, and each one of those gets $25,000.
Yeah, you would, you're setting precedent, no doubt, right? And that's the reason why you need to come in here and make it very clear in your program guidelines, whatever you want that policy to be. But you probably do need to know what this dollar amount is going to be, if it's more, because I don't think anybody's told you that information.
Right, that's the biggest question right now for us, is if we do this as individual addresses. Go, Miss,
$25,000 for each address at 50% fully reimbursed.
for each address, 102 South Fifth, and now we'll defer to Ms. Thompson. Ms. Thompson?
I pulled up the last, I'm sorry, I don't speak loudly, the TIF, the committee that approved these, and there is a document there I could print that has the addresses with the amounts that might be helpful, you know, to print
Yes,
that.
that'd be great.
Ms. Covey?
Madam Mayor, I'm uncomfortable based on how this is moving forward, and I would like to recommend that we
Table it.
and bring it back for another meeting where we have a clear presentation and a budget associated with each one of the addresses under the parcel.
I agree. I think we're all feeling a little concerned about this because we don't have accurate numbers, it seems. So, yes, I'd want to know all the facts. Mr. Alexander?
I'd like to make a motion that we take.
No,
Wait,
it's,
wait, wait, wait.
well, what I need to do is do I need to rescind my motion? I made a motion, then it was seconded, so do I need to rescind it?
Yeah, I think you can do a motion to postpone, to interrupt this motion that's on the table. If you table it, technically, you're just saying you're gonna come back to it at the same meeting, but what you're really doing is saying
Postpone.
you wanna postpone it. So I think
Okay.
that's a motion that can interrupt the current motion that's on the table.
Okay.
And so
So-
postpone it to a date certain.
Certain.
Okay, I would like to, make a motion to postpone to a date certain.
Well, what's that date? What's that certain date?
Madam Clerk, do we have a meeting date for the next CRA board meeting?
September 21st.
That's kind of way out there.
Could we call a special meeting? We can call a special meeting,
We can.
Special meeting, yeah.
so, what,
Right.
so can we, okay, I just said date certain, and then I direct staff to select the date certain.
Via a special meeting.
Via
In
special-
the next couple of weeks. Yeah.
Via special meeting in the next couple of weeks. Thank you.
We have a motion, a second. Is there any public comment? Ms. Kitchens? 1 minute, 1 minute. Please sit down and we'll let you come back up.
We're trying to help.
Illegal Kitchens Black. Thank you for tabling it, because I was really confused, similar to what Mr. Warren was. I would say one thing, having worked in the property appraiser's office for 36 years, exclusively the deed department, although I worked in every department, the one parcel number is, your policy clearly says parcel number. The property appraiser's parcel number many times includes more than one address. And this text said it's not real clear. I would suggest you say out property appraiser parcel numbers, and then underneath that, put, if it's more than one address, then look at each individual address under the parcel number, and that would clear up all of these problems. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Parallon.
Mr. Carroll, 105 Morris Street. Just wanted to thank Commissioner Davis for withdrawing that motion. Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate that. My understanding when I went before the advisory board, committee rather, was that they served an advisory function. But that was not binding upon the
No,
Board
right.
of County Commissioners. And so, advice is a great thing. We all want advice, but that doesn't mean that you're bound by advice. And so, I appreciate you seeing that, Mrs. Davis, and withdrawing that. It's very helpful. One final note, Nicole Hoff has been very helpful and very responsive to our inquiries, so I just wanted to give her a shout out.
Thank you. Is anybody else for public comment? Seeing none, we close public comment. Roll call, please.
Mr. Deputy? Mr. Deputy?
I'm trying to think of.
What we're voting on?
Yeah, what we're going.
Postpone.
I'm so confused by which way we're going.
Yeah, you said yes?
Table, yes.
Table?
Yes.
Okay.
Commissioner Alexander?
Postpone. Yes.
Yes, yes is fine.
Commissioner Boran?
Yes.
Commissioner Campbell?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis? Yes. Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Mayor Carey?
Yes, thank you. On to the Port Consolidated Property Environmental Remediation Update. Ms. Roth?
This is strictly informational. I'm presenting this to you because this will be presented at the upcoming commission meeting. So this is, and the reason I'm bringing this to you is because the Port Consolidated is within the CRA. So I wanted you to have some high-level information here. The Port Consolidated property is owned by the city of Flathead and was acquired with previous land exchange associated with the River Center property. The site is has documented petroleum contamination and and is undergoing environmental investigation and remediation through the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. The property is currently governed by Advanced Cleanup Agreement number AC 538, which establishes a funding limit for the state's share of eligible cleanup activities. The anticipated state cost for the next phase of remedial construction, operation, and maintenance exceeds the funding remaining under the current agreement. Because the property is city-owned, a decision regarding the appropriate remediation path will be presented at the City Commission for consideration on August 27th. Although formal action rests with the City Commission, the property is located within the community redevelopment area and was included in the recently completed Gateway Redevelopment Plan project funded through the CRA. The remediation and future use of the property are therefore relevant to the CRA Board's broader redevelopment interests. City staff met to review and discuss 3 options provided for continuing the environmental remediation of the property, and based on that discussion, an option was identified as the recommended approach. The recommended option will terminate current advanced cleanup and allow eligible remediation activities to continue through the Florida Department of Environmental Protection Petroleum Liability Restoration. And all of this information, you will be presented more specifics at the August 27th meeting. Staff recommends that the CRA Board receives the information, this as informational update regarding the proposed environmental remediation path for the Port Consolidated property, and no action is requested from the CRA Board.
Thank you for the update. Larimer Arts Center grant match and project scope, discussion and direction. Ms. Hoff.
This item is being brought to you from the previous workshop request regarding, requesting information about the actual scope of work and the associated costs with that. There is a sheet I presented. It has the different items that need to be addressed on the Larimar, and this is a breakdown. All of this information came from that shared drive that has all of the quotes. There was just a bunch of information in there. There was a 207-page document as well that they, when they performed an inspection on the building, and that's where all of this information is derived from. So at the July 20th, 26th CRA board meeting, the matter was presented in a resolution requesting authorization to commit $125,000 in CRA funds toward the required local match. Board discussion identified identified confusion regarding the request and the respective city and CRA funding roles, and the sequence in which the proposed CRA participation was presented. At the August 19th CRA board workshop, the board requested that staff bring the matter back with a clear explanation of the funding roles, grant match structure, current project needs and project costs, sequencing, and potential next steps. This agenda item is informational and is intended to support board discussion and direction. It does not itself authorize a CRA funding commitment, construction contract, or expenditure. The cultural facilities grant application was submitted on July 10th so that the city would not miss the state deadline and could preserve the opportunity to secure outside funding for a building with active water intrusion and deterioration concerns. Submission of the application did not, by itself, eliminate the need for the CRA board to separately consider the authorize the use of CRA funds. I'm going to skip down a little bit. The grant application requests $312,000 in state funding with a required $312,000 match. The proposed local funding plan consists of $125,000 from the CRA and $187,000 from the city. I think it's worth noting here that $150,000 was already approved in the budget specifically for Larimar Art renovations, approved in the 25-26 budget year. The inspection received the current city and CRA staff on August 19th identifies multiple building deficiencies that were visual but not necessarily non-invasive. The grant would help address immediate repair and weatherproofing needs, while the city and CRA plan for a qualified historic preservation specialist to complete a focused condition assessment if that is the board's wish. The project supports historic preservation, correction of deterioration, cultural programming, and downtown reinvestment. Staff is requesting board direction regarding the proposed CRA participation and the next steps for assessment, scope development, pricing, and project phasing. Additionally, I want to just explain where some of the alignment is between the CRA and the Larimar. So for historic preservation, there is an alignment with the redevelopment plan and the CRA. Preservation of historic housing, non-residential historic structures, and neighborhoods. And this is relevant because this is the strongest direction for CRA participation in the physical preservation and renovation of the Larimar. Also for cultural and community designation. The vision for, and this is directly from page 18 of the redevelopment plan. The vision for Palaca Community Redevelopment Area presents the city as a welcoming regional destination for cultural and community activities that celebrate history, residents, and natural amenities while embracing its dynamic and promising future. Here's another partnership and leverage funding. This comes directly from page 43 of the redevelopment plan. Coordinate the local, county, regional, and state partners to promote local events and projects that advance the redevelopment strategies. And this supports this by already budgeting CRA funds as the CRA portion to be used for the Larimar Arts Center. And I have some others that I can read you as well. Additionally, written into the MOU, which is the Memorandum of Understanding between the River City Players and the city, there are some call-outs specifically regarding the CRA. On page 1, there's a statement that says the shared commitment to fulfilling goals of the Palaca Community Redevelopment Area Plan, which is your CRA plan. That is specifically mentioned in the MOU. And then also, again, on page 3, there's another under joint commitments, CRA plan alignment, programming and operations will support the vitality of Palaca's business district consistent with the 2021 CRA plan. So together, all of these documents, these are provisions that demonstrate that the CRA participation in the Larimar Arts Center improvements is directly connected to the goals and objectives of the CRA plan and falls within the CRA's redevelopment role.
Thank you, Ms. Davis.
We'll go ahead and cut to the chase. Okay. I know in our last meeting, we had a lot of questions, but since that meeting, obviously we've gained additional information as shown here of how much work and the extent of the work, and that the Larimar is in the CRA and part of the overall plan. So the proposal that we were to approve was requesting for the CRA portion of funds that have already been allocated in the budget to be used for the cultural facilities grant match. And so what I'd like to do is make a motion to rescind the board's previous action against resolution 2026-CRA-R-01.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion. Mr. Deputy?
Well, I have quite a few questions that I would like to ask.
Okay, go ahead.
So let me ask this, that memorandum that you're talking about is not between the CRA and the River City Players, that's actually between the city of Palaca,
Correct.
correct?
Yes, sir.
We haven't had any discussion on that.
No, that's
have
correct.
we? On that memorandum, this board has had no discussion on that, correct?
Yes,
That
sir.
came to the city. Okay, I just want to make
Correct.
sure.
City.
So now let me ask this question with this, because it looks like what we're asking for is for the CRA to start taking over maintenance of city buildings and whatever, but I'm just asking this with that. So I need to know, what is it that the city has budgeted for the maintenance of the Larimar? Can anybody give us that?
Go
figure?
ahead, Ms. Curry.
So I'll start, Madam Mayor,
Sure.
members of the CRA board. the city of Palaca is responsible for the improvements, for the major maintenance of the Larimer. It is a city-owned building.
Correct.
The memorandum of understanding that Ms. Alt talked about is between the city of Palaca and the River City players. They have minimal involvement because they're operating inside of it, they program inside of it. And so for janitorial and lightweight kinds of things, they take responsibility for that. But the main stuff is handled by the city of Palaca.
City, okay.
It's not the CRA board. What is being asked for now from the CRA board is leveraging, because it is of interest to the CRA board. They're asking for a leverage of the money that the city has committed, joined with money from the CRA board into a facility that is eligible for the use of CRA monies.
So and I still have more questions. In the future, I read the 214-page document. It sounds to me that this building is going to need a lot more than what I see presented in this package. But having read the other package, I'm looking at the fact that the Larimer might need millions of dollars to get to where it needs to be. I get that. Are we obligating ourselves for the future, although we can always vote no? But I'm worried about opening that Pandora's box of expectations. But two, what do we rent that building for? I have no idea how much income is coming in from that building.
This has nothing to do with it.
If I might, Madam Mayor, I'm sorry
Go
for
ahead.
interrupting you. There is an arrangement, and I want to say a couple of $100 a month, but I may be wrong. Am I correct, Mr. Cutright, who I think is sitting in the back, if I might do that, Madam Mayor?
That's okay. Mr. Cartwright, could you please come up?
So it is a couple of $100 a month, but that is an arrangement between the city of Palaca,
Right,
not the CRA.
For a nonprofit organization.
I'm just trying to get a picture of the sums of money that we're talking about, that's all.
But Madam Mayor.
Ms.
if I may
Davis,
get
go ahead
point of
before-
Point of order. I want to make sure, is it relevant to have the city to speak, to answer that question in the CRA meeting? Because the relationship between River City Players, Larimar, is with the city of Palaca.
Correct, and I agree. I know.
Mixing.
I agree, but what I'm saying,
I'm just asking
No,
a
1 minute,
question
1 minute.
for-
I think I still have the floor.
What-
No,
I'm calling
no.
for point of order.
Okay.
So I want to
Yes,
make
so 1
sure
minute.
this discussion is appropriate here. If we can answer that.
And Ms. Hodges. Miss-
So, I don't want to. Right, to the.
Thank you, Eddie. Nice to see you. Come again.
I have.
So to the mayor, to the rest of the board. So in my mind, I can't say legally that it's an irrelevant question, right? And here's why I say that, is because at the end of the day, the CRA has a pot of money. And you get to decide what you want to do with that pot of money. And if you have questions about how overall projects are getting funded, particularly when the funding is coming from other sources outside of the CRA, I think that's fair game, because it's your due diligence. So I don't think it's, a bright line where it's irrelevant necessarily.
Okay,
I
Mr.
just want to make sure.
Okay, Mr. Cartwright is going to come back up and answer that question for you. It's an exercise program, apparently.
He's over recreation.
So, Eddie Cartwright, Community Affairs Director. Give you a little background. Up until 2 years ago, the Landmark building had no real contract for us monetary. Since we signed with River City Players, they had agreement. They pay $200 a month, and they pay $2,000 of low metal level maintenance that comes to the building.
They also pay for the utilities, correct? Just to clarify again, which is obviously something the city's not paying for. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. No, I think that's it. Thank you very much. Mr. Deputy is still on the floor.
Right, thank you. Because one of my overriding concerns has been that everyone in the district is treated equally. I believe the city is an entity just like every other homeowner, everybody else in the city. It's an entity. It owns this building. Are we where we are because we didn't take care of it? Well, that's where most of us are in the downtown district that need help. But is the city prepared to move forward and take some more responsibility? Don't know, that's not our issue. But we're being asked to step in and help. And the North Historic District has been asked to step in for the Bronson, the South Historic District for the Tillman House. If we form any new districts in the city, which I'm all in favor of, then I would assume, following that policy, that somebody's going to be taking care of Jenkins, or somebody's going to be taking care of the gym at the old Palaca South High School. And so I'm concerned that we might be saddling neighborhoods to take care of neighborhood buildings, and I'm not sure that's quite how I look at neighborhood schools taking care of neighborhoods, or neighborhoods taking care of neighborhood schools, is how I look at it. And I am concerned that we're treating entities and people and businesses at different levels. And we're not doing roofs for other businesses, that's off the table. We're not giving that much money to any building downtown but city buildings. And we have buildings downtown that could soak up the whole budget. And so I'm just concerned about that equalness.
Are you all set? Thank you. Mr. Alexander, and then
No,
you.
I had mine up way prior to.
Go ahead, Rufus, mine can wait, but
Okay,
Well, no.
Mr. Barham, go ahead.
Well, no, I'm supportive of the motion to rescind the previous motion that failed on the Larimar matter. I'm supportive primarily because there was so much confusion around the motion to support the expenditure of $125,000 to match the state grant, passed or failed. Okay, the direction that night from then city attorney was that the motion passed. However, after the matter was reviewed further, it was determined that the meeting, that the item failed with a vote of 4 no and 3 yes votes. My voice vote was the no vote, and so it failed on that. So, as I have had a chance to learn more about the Larimar's condition, I'm not against leveraging funds and the CRA joining the city commission in this application to the state. Hopefully, eventually, to eventually draw down $624,187K from the city, $125K from the CRA, and $312K from the state to help fix the building's deficiencies. I have other concerns regarding the Larimar that do not fall under the purview of the CRA board, and I will address those concerns at a city commission meeting later, at a later date.
Thank you. Mr. Alexander?
Yes, ma'am. Regarding the funding for the Larimer, we keep hearing that it's been approved, it's been approved, it's been approved. When was it approved?
So the $150,000 was approved in the previous budget year as part of the 25-26 budget.
By the CRA or by the city?
Yes.
CRA.
CRA board.
I remember voting on that.
Was it at a meeting or was it at a budget workshop?
It was at a meeting. We can't vote at a workshop.
Okay, I have another question for the finance director. Line item 030-30-580-6-6336.
Sound like an attorney.
You're gonna might have to repeat that.
030-30-580-6-6336.
Madam Mayor, if I can.
Yes, go ahead, Ms.
Is that
Covey.
a general ledger number in the finance system for
Yes,
the
it's
CRA?
apparently.
I'm
I-
assuming you can look that up right here.
1 minute. Let's give Ms. Thompson a minute. Go ahead.
The Larimer renovations, what's your question?
Is that on the CRA's budget or the city's budget?
Yes, so 030 is the fund for the CRA,
It is for the TIF, for the CRA? Okay,
and then the 30 indicates that that's the central business district for
okay.
the.
Just want to make sure that we had everything right on that. And that was approved at a CRA meeting.
The budget could only be adopted at an actual meeting, it would have been discussed at a workshop.
Because I'd asked for the minutes of that. And I never got
It was approved by the CRA.
I asked for the minutes, I never
Yeah.
got that.
Are you,
What did you ask for the minutes?
I sent that in a document with.
don't, can you put your hand down, because you gotta talk loudly, we don't have a mic, I'm sorry.
And she said that, she asked, Karen to send it to me. in a follow-up email.
Did you hear him?
I
Okay,
did.
okay.
Mayor,
Go ahead, Mr. Campbell.
I just have a,
Go ahead, Mr. Jones.
so if it was budgeted for 150,000, I guess still waiting for that clarification.
question.
In a second. I'm just.
And I need to open it for public comment as well. Go ahead, Mrs. Hodges.
No, we were already in the question already. We was in the question.
Well, right, I think a commissioner was responding, so probably what's fair is that we allow this commissioner to
That's
finish
what I was
his
trying to
response,
do.
And then that commissioner can call the question, and when you do call the question, it puts it immediately for a vote.
Vote,
of
yes.
two-thirds.
Like I said, the question before.
Oh, I thought somebody was still talking, I'm sorry.
No, Commissioner Campbell, Mr. Campbell did raise the question before
Okay,
Mr.
so if
Jones.
he called the question, and
He
you guys
did.
know that better, then you're at a vote of two-thirds in order to end debate.
Is there anybody here for public comment? No, no public comment? Come up, Ms. Kitchens.
Sorry.
Yes.
Can I just call for a point of order for just 1 minute? We didn't vote on the calling of the question. We need
Okay.
two-thirds to say we're gonna end debate here.
My fault, I'm sorry. Because it's getting kind of confusing this
Yeah.
evening. Madam Clerk, please.
So this is on the rescind and vote?
No,
This
yes.
is to end debate here,
yes,
That's right.
it's to call, it's to, yes, go ahead.
if it passes.
Commissioner Alexander,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Borum,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
No.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're asking for my vote? I thought you were asking for, no.
You already voted. Wait, whoa.
We're
Right,
in
so
the vote.
Just to
Stop.
be clear to everybody, you're voting on ending your
I
own
thought she was,
debate.
I thought she was providing you with the response as to whether or not she could find the minutes regarding the question.
Okay, that's why
I thought she was addressing
okay.
me regarding that question.
I had,
Three of
I had asked for roll call.
Can we clarify, does everybody know what we're voting on?
What do we vote? Do we all know that we're voting on?
Ending
The
debate.
and I want to talk.
On the rescission.
Of the vote at a prior meeting?
So if it passes, you can't say anything else.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna open the floor for public comment.
Correct. We're trying to get there.
Public comment after the vote.
Yes.
Yes.
My
So,
comments
so.
on the vote.
Stop,
No,
wait,
no,
stop.
so can I?
Go
please?
ahead, Mrs. Hodge,
So,
Ms.
to
Hodges.
the mayor, to the board and the public. So the call to question is only about these folks up here on the dais having
Right.
a conversation. And so what this commissioner is saying, I don't want to hear any more conversation. Everybody's already spoken enough.
Yes.
So we're going to end this debate. And so either it's going to pass or it's going to fail on a two-thirds. So, but that's only about them. After they do that, then you
I'll
have
open it to
the
public
floor
comment.
For public so that you can listen to that. And then after that, you would go straight to a vote, a roll call.
Right, and I went to a roll call, and Madam Clerk started the roll call, and Mr. Alexander didn't hear roll call, apparently?
Yeah, so maybe Madam Clerk can start the roll call now that everybody's clear on what we're doing.
Commissioner Alexander,
No.
Commissioner Borum,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
No.
Commissioner Campbell,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
sorry, Mr. Deputy,
No.
Mayor Carrera.
Yes.
So it does.
So to call the question, you need a two-thirds vote. So you need 4.6 people, so which is 5 people. So it fails.
It failed.
So you can continue your
Commissioner Jones
debate.
can talk. So Commissioner Jones can talk.
Go ahead, Commissioner Jones.
Thank you kindly. The question is this. It's saying the allocated amount or the requested amount from the CRA is 125,000. What was allocated is 150,000, so why not the entire 150,000?
Because we held back $25,000 for incidentals that would not be covered by the grant.
That's up.
Madam
Go.
Mayor, if I might,
Go ahead, Ms. Curry.
the city commission put forth 187,000 We needed 312, so the difference was the 125 from the CRA.
Thank you, Madam.
Just sitting there,
Madam
it's
City
okay, it's
Manager.
okay.
Thank you for the clarity, because it was clearly said 150 was budgeted, and I wanted to know.
So
Thank
the
you for letting
vote,
me participate.
okay. There is no need for public comment since the vote failed, huh? What did you say? What did you say? I know, I was going to do that, and all these sidebar conversations. Public comment, please, Ms. Kitchens. I'm reiterating what I thought you said, yeah. Hold on a moment.
Florida, where's the music out in Chattahoochee? I wonder if everybody else is damn confused as I am. I only wanted to ask a question, a legal question. Previously, there was a vote in a previous workshop, or whatever the heck it was, you all voted no on something. It was a vote of no. Everybody voted no. It was a vote.
Right.
Now you're rescinding the vote. I thought, I don't, under Robert's Rules of Orders, I'm totally lost. But the other thing, forget about that. I'm sure that'll turn out to be wonderful. You can rescind any no votes you do. But as confusing as this issue is, it's 1,000 times more confusing than the previous one. I would highly recommend you table this also for a workshop, just like you did the previous one. I mean, this is just getting, it's getting so deep that it smells. Thank you.
Ms. Schenker.
Thank you. You already have my yellow card. Shelley Schenker. I live, eat, and breathe at the Larimer Arts Center. And to your point, Sam, we've had conversations in the parking lot about this building, but it is not your typical city-owned building. This building does not hold meetings like this. It brings art to your community, and 99% of the time, it's for free. And if it's not for free, the musicians or the artisans are working for a little slice of the ticket sales. We are working over there with theater groups, musical groups. We're doing workshops for your nephews and nieces, for your kids. They come over, they have art all the time. This is not Jenkins, this is not Price Martin, this is not any of those buildings. This is the building that we're literally, with volunteer hours, keeping open 7 days a week. Better than any of your other visitor centers. We're the ones with the flags out that say, come into our halls. We've had college students coming there to study because they actually thought it was still a library. But we don't turn them away. We bring them there. We bring them there for the art. We have artisan groups that are putting out our local flavor. We have people from St. Augustine coming here to be part of our art scene because we're promoting the creativity here. The creativity is what brings people to Palatka. They don't come here just to have a burger. They've got to have something to do. We have to breathe the fun into this place, or it's just a river and a road. So every year you're going to have this vote to be able to decide whether you're going to help take care of this building, which is a gem of your city. And as you continue to try to make the whole city, the whole downtown, a National Historic Site, which I know is on the dockets, why would you not take care of the jewel in the crown? This is the one. This is the one that has all the history. It's so amazing. And it's not just by, private entity. It's not just by private appointment. You get to come there all the time and see the halls. And the group that is now in charge, the groups that are now in charge, have cleaned up that place. We've put multiple hours into cleaning and painting so that people can actually enjoy every nook and cranny. You want to come into the basement, I will show you the basement. We still have the problems with this building. There's water intrusion. That means the artists that put stuff on the walls in the basement have to worry about mold growing on it. We have to take care of these things. Walk around closely and look at it. It's falling apart because when the building was built, there wasn't a highway running by us. Big trucks running and rumbling. There are cracks like you would not believe. And we want to see it be taken care of. But if you make these nonprofits figure out how to take care of it, then we're not bringing the community the programs we want to.
Anybody else here for public comment?
So I was going to save my comments till after we moved on to the next piece, but they'll fit right here anyways. My name's Kevin Charbois. I live at 114 Riverview Drive, East Palatka, Florida. but I'm here because I am the current chair of the Board of Trustees of River City Players, who has basically the current managerial contract with the city of Palaca dealing with the Larimer building. From before we actually entered into that partnership with the city, we were, since COVID at least, the only entity actively making use of the building and trying to have things happen there. We were fortunate, and I really should start with a statement of gratitude to each and every one of you here tonight. I understand that what you're doing is not necessarily your highest and best choice in how you'd like to spend your time. I do appreciate that you take on this difficult position. You know, we're often in a position of trying to make decisions based on, you know, not necessarily ideal conditions. I've never seen a time in this community where we didn't have some kind of physical constraint involved, and so you're trying to make do in a difficult spot. Once we came into the management position, even prior to that, I was making a list of items that needed to be addressed. As soon as we received the MOU, my group spent the $3,000 some to have a commercial building inspector come in and go over the building top to bottom, just so we had a baseline understanding of what the condition of the building was at the time that we came into a management position. As Mr. Cudwright pointed out, yes, we do pay a nominal monthly rental amount, which is more than was being received prior, but we also carry all of the utilities, and you've gone from having a building that was mostly empty to having a building that is constantly open and filled with people and energy and cultural events. And it's definitely drawing people from outside this community. I'm big on the data. Last year, 30% of our ticket sales were to people from outside of the county coming in. We just finished a sold-out show, Little Shop of Horrors. Every show we do is 10 performances. One of our shows, the box office goes back to a local charity. I think we're pulling our weight. In 2004, just River City Players, not the other groups that are also involved in use of the building and providing services, but just the volunteer hours that I was able to document. In 2004 was over 7,000 volunteer hours. Last year was over 8,000. Already this year we're at just over 6,300 hours. If you look at that from a dollar perspective for volunteer hours, there's actually a number you can grab. It's at this point $34.88. Anyways, volunteer hours alone that I've documented is over $225,000 a year. That is straight up these people in the room showing up and providing something to this community. And I understand it would be great if we didn't have to rely on, you know, these funds, but the city has had other budget priorities in years past. Fine. This is an opportunity to take what you have and potentially have it matched dollar for dollar from the state to really try to address some fundamental issues.
Thank you. Anybody else here for public comment? Come on, Ken. Please fill out a card with a yellow card.
Yes, ma'am. The Larimer is a love letter written in stone from James Ross Mellon to his wife Rachel. He didn't ask permission to build this building. He said, this city needs a library, and I love arts and culture so much that I'm going to spend $100,000 to build this town a place where they can build their cultural center. It was a university for the poor men, the Poor Men's University. It was a place for children who didn't have other places to read, to come and to read. And it was built for the culture of this town and these people. And to keep it in the public hands, I think is the absolute best decision. I know everybody in that building is doing what they can to democratize that building and make it accessible. It is a park for artists. Just like you can go to a park and do whatever you want, you can come to this building and do whatever you want in arts. But if you want to have that pavilion for a party, you better reserve it. You better have that time. So the groups that are there to manage not only amongst themselves, but about the interests of the community in there. And it is a major tourist attraction on the main thoroughfare. And if it becomes something that gives people a reason to stop in Palaca, they might not just drive through on their way to Gainesville or Tampa. They might say, hey, there's that great film going on. There's that great theater opportunity. There's that great concert. concert. There's this great opportunity for me to sit and entertain my children for a couple of hours while my husband goes off and has a business meeting at the chamber or something like that. It's a place for people in the community to go and get a little air conditioning, do a little work, get some Wi-Fi. It is a public building with a public purpose, and that purpose is to build the culture and the reputation and the interest in the community to come here to Palatka, because that is the building that has housed the wisdom and the knowledge. It was a library where people could go check stories out, and today with what I brought there is a digital art studio where people can come in, they can record their stories, they can record their personal histories, and we can deposit our stories so that we can build the cultural reputation. Because I don't know if you've done a survey of Palatka on YouTube, but there's less than a dozen videos that I would consider positive, and the rest of them aren't, because the people aren't getting over that hurdle that they need to spark their creativity, and that's what the Larimer is offering, a place for people to come together, to collaborate, to work on things that they would otherwise have to do by themselves. And I know I'm overwhelmed by the amount of content I need to create for my own business and to grow the tourism reputation in this area. And without other people that want to collaborate with me, I don't know where else to find it. I've tried other places in town, and I've been welcomed nowhere more than I have been by the folks that are running the Larimer right now. It's not about any one individual, any one organization. It is really about the town.
Thank you. Is there anybody else here for public comment? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. We voted, that vote didn't pass to amend. I'm disappointed.
No, Mayor, that was only for
I know.
The ending debate. Yeah, that's right. Is there confusion through the mayor? So that was really just about calling the question. So the original motion is still on the table to rescind. And you have a second, so you can, if other commissioners, have more comments, or you can call the roll.
I do.
Go ahead.
And as I read, here's the question. On that breakdown, when it says 624,000 as the total funding that's needed, and also, when you look on page 226, it says then for discussion that the cost actually could be more than that. Can you elaborate on what you can forecast on that?
So it was brought up previously to have someone that specializes in historic buildings come in and do an additional inspection. This is all, anything that was in that 207-page document, that inspection document, that's all what's visible, right? When you start peeling back the layers of the onion, we don't know what is inside, like behind the walls, and so it could, to your point, it could be more. This is just to be able to fix some of the immediate needs, the roof, the weatherproofing, look at the foundation, some of those things. We would need another inspection to see what else is possibly there that would need to be addressed.
But just,
And finish up with your question, have to call.
so with that, the other 25,000 will be available for that?
I'm sorry?
Another 25,000, would that possibly be available for that additional cost? I'm asking before we get to it, we're about to vote on it.
Yeah, I mean, 25,000.
Yeah, point of order. Can I say something? Because I feel like we're really chaotic here. So, if I may, Mayor, the reason I'm calling for a point of order is because we ended our debate. We called for public comment. And right now, we should be having a roll call on rescinding the original motion, period. And then I have another motion for direction, which I think would be more appropriate for what.
Okay. Ms. Hodge.
Did you want to finish, or is you done? Yeah, so just, this will be one of my recommendations. You actually don't even have bylaws. So really, you're not being governed by anything right now. You really aren't. As a commission, you have a code section that talks about Robert rules and all of that. You're separate and distinct, as you hear Nicole saying this all the time. And so one of my quickest observations is that maybe in the next couple of months, we need to quickly bring some standing rules to this separate legal entity known as the CRA board. And so that's why I'm a little bit flexible here, right? You debated, the call to question failed.
you open it up for public comment, then you had a commissioner that wanted to make a comment. So the mayor can allow that commissioner, that's not illegal for the mayor to allow the commissioner to make another comment. But I really would recommend that you put standing rules in place to talk about the debate. You can actually limit the number of times that you talk, not just when the public talks. All of that would come along if you had a set of standing rules in place.
So we can talk about that going forward, but first we have a question, so roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Campbell?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Boer?
Yes.
Commissioner Alexander?
Yes.
Mayor Carrera?
Yes,
Sam Deputy?
Yes.
thank you. Ms. Davis, did you say you?
I have a motion.
Okay, go ahead.
I move that we authorize the $125,000 that's already been budgeted to be used as a match for the grant that has been applied for.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes.
Who said it first? Go ahead, Mr.
He-
Bourne.
Well, no, I mean,
Go ahead, Mr. Bourne.
well, okay, thank you, man. Well, the reason I asked the question is because we have already approved that. It's been approved prior to, so why are we re-voting on something that we have already approved?
Right. So to the mayor, and this is where the finance and Nicole would come into play. From my understanding, as I looked at the budget, the exact line item was $150,000 for Larimar renovations.
Right.
That's pretty vague. So that's actually not specific at all, right? I mean, so those renovations could be for windows on the outside. They could be for the roof, right? So that's why, and as Nicole told me in earlier email traffic today, because I had the same question, was this already, this exact, using this money for a match for a grant, was that the way that it was posed in the budget? And her answer was no, right? It's more general line item. I'm not saying it can't, what you're doing can't fall under the umbrella of Lamar
Renovation.
what is it?
Larimar.
Lama Arts Center.
But, you know, it's a broader,
Okay.
renovations is very vague. And so now what you're doing is you're more specifically allocating it to this money can be used for the grant and the scope of work as described
Okay.
in that grant.
Okay.
Which is more specific than that
Okay.
original budget line item.
So,
That makes sense.
okay, that,
Are you all set, Mr. Bourne?
yes.
Mr. Alexander?
That was my question. Because I asked for the minutes from that meeting so I could see exactly what that money was budgeted for and when it was approved. So I wanted some clarification on that before we just blank check approved it to do whatever if it had been set aside for something else by the previous residents on this board.
Anybody else? I'm going to open the floor to public comment. Is there anybody here for public comment? Closing public comment. We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, please, roll call.
Commissioner Campbell?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Boer?
Yeah, yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Alexander?
Yes.
Sam Deputy?
Yes.
Mayor Carrera?
Yes. Thank you. Small Business Development Center, Mr. Paul.
Madam Mayor, Commissioners, staff, friends and guests online and in person, I hope you're having a good day today. It's Rick Hall, 320 St. John's Avenue for the Small Business Development Center. In front of you is the most recent quarterly impact report. I'm about to go over it, but I just wanted to mention the workshops that we've had and some of the ones that are coming up. The SBA has been here to Palaca twice so far this year. We had a whole workshop for the SBA and bankers back in, I think it was March. Then I had a workshop on how to start businesses. We had a workshop on marketing. We had a workshop that wasn't actually here, but it was in UNF on Money Matters. So that's where you bring the lenders and the clients together and try to match them up. We also had a very big workshop called Rural Renaissance, held at the Ravines. This was a joint effort between the Small Business Development Center and Florida Commerce. So that was very positive. From what I hear from our state director, thank you, Palaca and Putnam County, we had the biggest turnout that they had throughout this endeavor of holding the Rural Renaissance. Upcoming events, last year we did a joint workshop between Putnam County and St. Johns County and Hastings, and we're going to do that again in October, I believe it is. Now, jumping off to the metrics that we have here, Mr. Deputy and Nicole and everybody really wants to know, what's the impact of the SBDC. So this is from October 25th through June of 26th is the most recent one. Hopefully you've got that in your packet there. You can see number of entrepreneurs consulted just in the city, 25. Total consulting hours, 131. Revenue increase was 50,000. Business startups 2, jobs created 2, capital formation 1.37 million. So you guys shell out about $25,000 to support the SBDC for this area. That represents a 5,480% return on your investment. I think we're being pretty good stewards of your money there. I do have something I would like to announce. I'm going to follow up on it in a little bit more detail. I just got back from our annual meeting for the whole state of Florida for the Small Business Development Centers. And at that meeting, we had some members of the Federal Reserve Bank from Atlanta there. With discussions with them, it is very possible for us to have surveys and have businesses in this area complete the surveys. Then the feds, this is pretty cool, the feds will consolidate all of that and then give us a report back on how well the city and the county are doing compared to other areas. It would be a good way to benchmark the growth and what sectors and that sort of thing, so I'm looking forward to that. I should have that information hopefully in a couple of weeks, so the next time I come in I can talk about that in more detail. A huge kudos to Sunshine Rail. I think we've talked about them in the past. In fact, I sent everybody a link for the video on there, very impressive. But that's Doug Fournier, his son Joe, and his daughter Mary started a business here in Palaca, started with zero. They're making millions of dollars, well, have sales of millions of dollars, buying lots of property, and they employ, right now it's about 10 employees, but very soon they'll be making it up to about 50 employees. All of those employees live in Palaca and in Putnam County. The majority of them live in Palaca. So that's a homegrown business, hiring people here to make things happen. There is one other thing that Nicole had asked about how the SBDC can help a little bit more with the CRA, and my response basically is put our link on the website. Clay County, St. Johns County, and Nassau County have SBDC links on the city website, on the county websites, and for the CRA. They get approximately 5 new clients per month from just that link on those websites in those various areas. So I think a good way to help, for me to help the CRA more directly is to have a link on the website to the SBDC where they can sign up for services. With that being said, I think, in the interest of time, does anybody have any questions?
Anybody have any questions? Thank you, Mr. Paul.
Thank you all. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. Thank you. Palaca Gas Authority gas lamp wind-related outages. Mr. Dennis.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I just wanted to give you an update of the gas lamp status right now. We, as you know, back on or about April 1st, we lit the lamps and we intend on running them for a year. Brought some pictures of them, if you've had a chance to look at them in the neighborhood. I think they look pretty sharp. They probably could use a coat of paint, but they look pretty nice. But what brought me here tonight was how many times they have blown out. We've done everything we can to try to stop the blowouts. We put some dampening material at the bottom of them to keep the wind from blowing up around them. They have some screens around the flame itself. And we've increased the pressure a little bit. But as you see, there's a number next to a lot of those of how many times they blew out, especially down on the riverfront, continually blowing out. This weekend in particular, maybe some of you that live downtown know that there was a storm. I lost a window in my home. First time in all the hurricanes I've lived through, had a branch come through my window. But we had 7 lamps blow out this weekend. So I bring it to your attention that it's burden for the gas authority. I had put in the original proposal that we would charge for each time that we went out to relight them. I haven't done that up to this point. We've done those at no charge, and again, 7 of them on Sunday that they got called out. Really just wanted to give you an update of where we're at. Don't have a solution for stopping them from blowing out. I just have, if there's gas blowing in the South Historic, I have to respond and get those turned back on. So, are there any questions? I really just wanted to bring it to your attention.
I just have one quick question. Have you looked in other areas to see what they may have done, that have, like other, limited to historic districts and other communities, to see what they have done?
Well, I looked in the internet about what could be done, but unfortunately they all require electricity to be run to each lamp to give it a spark ignition. And it could be done, but really would have been better to be originally put in. And I think a lot of folks, if we put electricity into one of those lamps, they're probably going to say, put in a bulb. I hate to say that, but
And just for clarity,
yes.
So that we know and the community knows,
Yeah.
when you have to go relight it,
Yeah.
approximately how much time does that take from your staff?
Well, you don't just jump up there and light it. You have to get your truck there from wherever they are, especially when they're on call. And you have to put a ladder up there so that you can reach the lamp, open it up, and light the lamp. So it's not a quick procedure. I guess if you're doing 7 of them, there's the more you do, the quicker you can get them done. But each time you have to stop and put a ladder up there. They're probably better part of 10 feet tall up there, and my guys can't reach those. So you have to stop and light them off.
I guess more importantly, my question is what, because you're not charging at this point, what approximately is an hour, does it take a half hour to 10 minutes, 15? What would be the charge per
Our
light?
minimum charge, it's a good question. Our minimum charge, our labor rate's $80 an hour. Our minimum charge is $39.99. If we're called to just come out and light a pilot light, to stop there and do that work, it's a minimum charge.
And the frequency.
Oh, go ahead. I was going to finish up because historically, this has always happened with those lights when the city was paying for them a long time ago, not the CRA. And then when we had them lit as the neighborhood association, that was a constant. They've always blown out. And always had to have the gas authority come back out at an extra cost. And so I don't know what the solution is, but that was one of my reservations with the CRA funding at Gomez.
Right. And then again, like I said, the frequency of that'll help scale that cost in terms of what you're really looking at.
And I've said before, 200 years ago, there was a job called the lamplighter, and they walked around and relit lamps and then they turn them off at the end of the night too. But I don't have that position in my gas authority. Anyway, just bring it to your attention. As we approach the new year of doing this, I'll want to discuss it in more detail about how much it's costing the gas authority to do this. So.
Okay, that was a concern. And actually, we had somebody in the neighborhood association that was our little lamp lighter going way back. Mr. McGibbon actually used to be the lamp lighter.
Correct.
So, yeah.
All right, any other questions?
Nope.
No, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, I just have a comment because and this is more for Ms. Ott. And, you know, maybe we need to consider some options, you know, for the future. That's
Yeah.
all, that's all I got. We just need to consider the options, because now we have more information than we had before, and we know how we made this decision, but we just may have to reconsider.
And I don't know, again, I know that some folks in the neighborhood really want the gas lit, lights lit rather as with gas, but we did look at solar and other options, and we may have to rethink this, that's all.
And so that would be a great time too, because I don't know if you remember from the budget workshop, I did put a line item in there for replacement of those, and that might be the perfect time to reevaluate that.
Correct.
Yes, the source of fuel.
And that's right.
Go ahead.
It appears that there may be some products that are solar powered with batteries that will relight those automatically based on a photocell triggering that.
This is true.
The battery powered ones I've seen are manual.
Come on up, Mr. Jones.
I'm sorry. I thought we were just.
Yeah, we just want to maybe do some research on that. 'Cause it
Well,
looked
I have.
like,
The battery powered ones, you have to go up and push a button to relight it. It just has a spark ignition up above. To do it automatically requires electricity. You got 110 or 120 volts there. So he's right. You can push a button, but I'd still have to have somebody come down.
Push the button.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. City manager report?
Madam Mayor, members of the board, I don't have anything, but I would like to underscore the importance of rules being established for the CRA board. I think it'll make things run a lot smoother. And as it relates to the interlocal agreement that was drafted, that you looked at your last meeting, we need to continue that process so we can get an interlocal in place as soon as possible for the beginning of the fiscal year.
Okay, thank you. St. John's Avenue Streetscape Financial Funding Path, Phases 1 and 2.
This presentation is a consolidated financial path for phases 1 and 2 of the St. John's Avenue Streetscape. This is to answer one of the requests of the CRA board, comprehensive outline of all of the money spent for that project. I want to add a point of clarification before I get into this. Phase 1 is the intersections of the permeable paths at each of those intersections on St. John's Avenue. Phase 2 is what we're in now. That's the streetscape project. And I have seen some items that have a streetscape phase 3, but all that is the landscaping portion of phase 2. So there's just some points of clarification. The St. John's Avenue Streetscape project represents a significant multi-year public investment in the downtown corridor and has evolved over multiple phases. Phase 1 began in 2021. So it has multiple phases, funding sources, contracts, and fiscal years. Funding the project has included a combination of city funds, CRA tax increment funding, and also grant funding. The City Commission has previously requested a comprehensive accounting of the financial activity with the project. And due to the duration and complexity of this project, development of a complete financial history required staff to review and reconcile information across multiple fiscal years and funding sources. Staff has completed this review and compiled the available financial activity into a consolidated project expenditure report. The accompanying report is intended to provide the board with a comprehensive record of the project's funding and expenditures and a clearer understanding of the financial participation of the city, CRA, and the grant funding sources. The attached financial report consolidates the funding and expenditure history of the St. John's Avenue Streetscape project into single reference document. The analysis provides a phase-by-phase accounting of project costs as identified and identify the sources used to fund those costs. Separating the financial activity between phase 1 and 2 provides greater transparency regarding how the project has been funded over time and allows the board to evaluate the total public investment in the St. John's Avenue corridor. Because the project spans multiple years and includes transactions from several funding sources, preparation of the report required a detailed reconciliation of historical financial records rather than a reliance on a single project account of a fiscal year budget. The resulting report provides a consolidated history that can also serve as a reference for future project reporting, budgeting, grant administration, and closeout activities associated with streetscape improvements. This project is a major component of the city's ongoing investment in the downtown area, and beyond documenting total project expenditures, the financial history provides important context regarding how the city resources, CRA investment, and outside grant funding has collectively supported this project. Staff recommends that the CRA board receives and accepts the streetscape breakdown, financial funding path reports for phase 1 and 2, including the associated accounting funding sources, expenditures, interim fund transfers, and CRA TIF participation. Has everyone had a chance to look over the document?
Yes.
So the overall cost, so the total investment in phase 1 and 2 of the St. John Streetscape, words are hard, I'm sorry. The streetscape project was $5,362,517. This report identifies the same amount in funding sources as the actual expenditures. In simple terms, the report balances $5.36 million came into the project and $5.36 million was spent on the project. The difference between the two is nothing. The project was funded through a combination of grants and local funding. So the grant funding is $3,396,600.39, or 63.34%. Local funding was $1,965,917.25, or 36.66%. The majority of the project, nearly 2/3, was paid for with outside grant funding. Approximately 1/3 came from local funding sources. So the grants include the state of Florida, the St. Johns River Water Management District, the Florida Department of Transportation, and the U.S. Department of Agriculture. The local funding includes Better Place discretionary sales tax funds, Central Business District TIF funds, and a small general fund contribution. The CRA participation. The Central Business TIF contributed a total of $307,404.11 to this project. That represents approximately 5.73% of the entire $5.36 million project investment. The CRA contribution consisted of $170,000 transferred in fiscal year '22 for phase 1, the transportation hub and permeable pavement work, $116,855 transferred in fiscal year '25 for phase 2, streetscape work. $20,549.11 was paid directly from CRA accounts for landscaping and miscellaneous project expenses. So the CRA contribution by phase was phase 1, $190,549.11, phase 2, $116,855, and the total was $307,404.11. Why CRA expenditures appear in different city funds? This is one of the most important parts of the report. Most of the CRA funding was transferred from CRA Fund 030 into Better Place Fund 101, where the project invoices were paid. Therefore, the CRA ledger shows the money leaving the 030 fund.
I'm losing you there, because, we went from this page back to this page.
I'm just giving you, I'm providing a summary of what those documents
Okay, I'm
mean.
just trying to follow you in this document.
I can slow down if you
Okay,
say
thank
that. Okay, so why the CRA expenditures appear in different funds? Most of the CRA funding was transferred from CRA Fund 030 into a Better Place Fund 101, where the project invoices were paid. The CRA ledger shows the money leaving the Fund 030. Fund 101 shows the related construction expenditures. These are not two separate sets of money. They are the same dollars shown at different points in the accounting process. A transfer tells us where the money came from. The expenditures tells us how that money was ultimately used. We cannot add the two together because that would count the money twice. Phase 1, this is the project phases. Phase 1, $4,005,119.38, or 7.66% 74.69% of the total project. Phase 2, $1,357,398, or 25.31% of the project. So those are the 2 phases. Phase 1 included, this is what Phase 1 included, the permeable pavement and related work, streetscape and sidewalk improvements, and the transportation hub related improvements. Phase 2 included downtown streetscape construction, and that's what's ongoing now, the ADA compliant sidewalk and curbing work, and related local matching costs. 2026 expenditures. The report includes $402,001 so far in July 2026 activity. These expenditures were not included in the June 30th transaction level cutoff, but they were included in the consolidated project total. And then it outlines July activity is $235,519, and then an additional $15,000 and another $151,082 for the actual streetscape construction. Now keep in mind, all of these numbers were, Jen actually was able to get everything together by looking at job numbers, and this is all in ADG, so it's going to be a little bit difficult because we don't have that actual spreadsheet. This is the summary of everything that was put together or consolidated by tracking down the job numbers and how they matched up with each of those invoices and what was expended out of those accounts. Account reclassification. This has come up before as well. The report also identifies $235,448 account reclassification. This was an accounting adjustment that changed the account or phase where the cost was reported. It did not create an additional project, and it did not increase the amount spent. So we'll move on into encumbrances. As of June 30th, there was an open encumbrance of
Okay, I'm gonna stop you.
No, wait a minute.
I don't know where you are.
Okay, you can ask questions afterwards.
Well, but I don't know where she is right now.
I'm just giving a summary. I'm not following this
You're not, okay, I didn't know that
specifically.
you weren't following this, and I'm trying
Yeah.
to keep up with the balances of what's going on.
No, I'm just giving an overall summary of what is in this document.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. An open encumbrance of $290,868.45. The encumbrance represents money committed through an open purchase order, but not yet recorded as a paid expenditure at this point. Encumbrances are not added to actual expenditures and open. Once an invoice is paid, the encumbrance is reduced and the payment becomes an expenditure. The CRA contribution of $307,404, and of that amount, $286,855 was transferred to the city's Better Place Fund for the project. $20,549 was paid directly from the CRA account, and the CRA contribution represented, as far as a direct contribution, represented 5.73% of the total streetscape investment. That's the summary.
Sorry. Okay, so that's where we are. Now, I have a few questions with that. In the email that you sent out Friday, they're going to be doing horizontal drilling again. That was supposed to have been done previously. So now where is that money coming from to do that? Because that had to be, that was under the last, I don't know what phase that was. But those drillings, all of that was supposed to have been done. So now I'm questioning where is the funds for that coming from?
That would already be included in all of that scope of work that was
So
provided
they
at
owe
the
no
beginning.
more money on that?
That is included in that contract.
Okay, because I finally got the contract, thank you, Ms. Karen, on that. And so, what is it that we then still owe for this project?
I might intervene at this point,
Yes.
not trying to avoid answering your question, but I would ask Nicole not to give you an answer right now in terms of what is remaining, because I'm still working on that, honestly.
Okay, may I ask another question with that?
Of course.
Thank you. So they ran out of, the project is stopped again. They didn't work Sunday night, it stopped. We're out of red dye. And so, you know, I called, there's red dye all over Jacksonville.
Well, wait a minute.
So I'm confused.
I know, but that's not germane to us talking about this.
Okay, I'm sorry, that's a new
Yeah,
subject.
please.
I'll ask that at the end of this. Thank you. But I would like to have what we are. You know, I'm trying to get this together and I know it's difficult for you, but you can imagine how difficult it is for us.
So what was the question? I'm sorry, ma'am.
The question was about red dye,
Red
because the
dye.
project halted because they had, but the contractor is trying to obtain red dye.
I mean, if I might answer.
Go ahead.
Yes.
I'm reading emails like Nicole is, and when I read that the contractor wanted to pause because they could not, find the dye, I thought I would lose it, but I didn't. I just,
Thank you.
Do they take it public?
I mean, I'm being very serious.
So my understanding was that it was ordered, and then whoever they're getting it from let them know it was on back order.
And I would go with that if this was block 9 of 10, but we're in block 3.
I understand.
And so we obviously.
Your frustration is our
Well, see,
frustration.
And the frustration is then they were going to go ahead and start on the 900 block. So we're gonna spread the misery out without finishing even the 400 block. And so,
Again, we're not, we were on the topic of the finances for phase 1 and phase 2.
right,
The streetscape
so,
project.
I'm
So
sorry,
you're
I'm
kind
jumping
of-
that, but I did want to put those questions out there to get answers to that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions?
So there are questions specifically around the financials that I can answer or get back an answer to you?
Madam Mayor, there was a very specific request for us to be able to give a report to the CRA board regarding streetscape expenses from beginning up to current. And that is what we've been doing for the last couple of weeks. Jennifer, obviously, and Cynthia, and Nicole. And this is the best we can offer you at this point in time.
And that is what the topic is about, and so we want to try to stay, rephrase that on topic. Okay, anybody else have any questions about the financial report? No. Okay, thank you. With that said, we of course I put the glasses on. E, we don't have to, that's because we took the last workshop. Do we have anything additional? Motion to adjourn.